Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
I love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio.
Welcome back to TexAgs Stacked. I'm Billy Lucci.
Olin Buchanan.
Make a mistake. We're not going anywhere. This is going to be a great program, and we're building it into a great program.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Do you realize everybody knows who you are right now?
I stand by what we do and how we do it.
Schools are like, we're freaking Texas A&M, man. Like,
That's about as pretty a throw-catch combo as there is.
I saw the safety roll, the slot fade. I knew where I needed to put the ball.
You had no other option but one hand at that point.
Yeah, man, 50-50 ball, I got to come down with it.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
I hope you haven't, and I wouldn't blame you if you did. But have you made up your mind already on this Texas A&M football season? Just because of one game. I'm curious because I'm out there talking to the people, and people have made up their mind. And I see the boards. Some haven't. I mean, you shouldn't because there's a lot of football to be played. But I'm just curious how many of you have already made up your mind. I already know how the season's going to go. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. I'm David Nuño, and to my left is Olin Buchanan.
I've not made up my mind on the season. I remember one year.
Have you made up your mind on anything team-related, though?
I'm trying to keep an open mind. I can remember one year. I'll have to look it up. I want to say it's like the 90s. Second game they lost to Tulsa.
Yep.
And what they were doing playing in Tulsa, I'll never understand. But they lost at Tulsa, and then won the rest of their games. Now they were playing in the, I guess Southwest Conference back then.
Hey, but they're playing the West. Everybody's bad in the West, apparently.
Well, yeah, everybody's getting off to a slow start. I think I will not come to a negative conclusion until I see the second loss and who it's against.
By the way,
and maybe a second loss won't come.
By the way, had A&M destroyed Miami, I wouldn't be convinced one way or another about this team either.
No, but I'd feel a lot better.
Oh, heck yeah.
I mean, you look at...
People are a lot nicer when the Aggies win, like around town, in this office.
Well, so much has been emotionally and financially invested by so many people.
Yep.
And I think the emotional investment is larger than even that incredible financial investment.
Yep.
They're at a point where it's fair for them to expect and even demand better results. I mean, why should you not be terribly angry and disappointed by what you saw the result was at Miami?
Well,
somebody would have to tell me why you shouldn't be. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't turn it around like you did in 2020 when everybody was out on the ledge after a bad showing against Vanderbilt and a loss at Alabama, and then you came back and you beat Florida and went on a roll.
Yeah, I think part of the frustration, there's a lot of reasons for frustration, but part of the reason for frustration is not the fact that you lose to Miami early. It's the fact that you lose to Miami early considering how the last two seasons have gone, right? It's like it just feels like this story hasn't ended. Since the Colorado game, it has just been one high point.
Right, you're exactly right. It was the big win against Alabama here, and then you went on a little bit of a run against some bad teams. Mm-hmm. I guess Auburn was ranked, but
were they?
That was kind of
no offensive touchdowns in that game.
Mirage, and then LSU last year. I think the outrage is that they lost to Miami at all. Once again, honestly, who do you think has better talent?
Well, let's go beyond talent because I want to ask you this. I'm not even asking. I'm just going to make I read a quote that was like, yeah, that's what I want. All right? That's what I want. And I'm going to read it out loud. When you get conservative, you get beat. That's not how I was raised coaching. That's from Mario Cristobal. And I'm going to say, I want to see that defensively. I want that mentality. I want the fact that Tyler Van Dyke did not get flustered, I didn't see any defensive things that made him like, oh, what do I need to do? It really wasn't that at all. It was just like, here's our defense. All right, I'm going to take my time and throw.
Well, here's my take on that and where the season's going. I'm very optimistic about the offense now. After last year's offense was such a train wreck. Well, it's not even a train wreck because the train rarely got started.
Yep.
But after last year's offense was so disappointing, you see great signs of life from Connor. Yeah, the offensive line has to do better, but you see what the receivers are doing, Bobby Petrino's influence. I think you need to see more Reuben Owens.
Yep.
Okay, all those things, I can feel good about the offense. Me personally, there are going to be others that's going to completely disagree with me on this, and that's okay. But from my personal point of view, watching them, I cannot find that. I can look and see good players that everybody wanted. I cannot find any reason to be confident in the defense that DJ Durkin's gonna call and run. I can't.
I'm gonna ask you this, OB. Based on what we've seen early this season, where do you think Connor should rank in quarterback in the league, in the conference, I should say?
Oh, I was just trying to put that together, and I wasn't finished, but I had him based on 2 games, and what I've seen on 2 games. I had him 5th.
Okay.
You want to know who I put first?
Yeah.
Who would you put first? It's really difficult because some teams haven't played anybody,
Yeah. Part of me wants to say Will Rogers. Spencer's looked really good, but it's Spencer, and they've lost 2.
I had Spencer second on my list.
KJ Jefferson is safe. I don't know. I might go Will Rogers.
I put Jackson Dart.
Okay. I forgot about him as a person.
So far.
Yeah.
I put here's my top 5. I put Jackson Dart 1. I put Spencer Rattler 2. I put Jaden Daniels 3.
Okay.
I put Carson Beck 4.
Okay.
And I put Jalen Wydermeyer. I'm sorry. I looked down and saw Jalen Milroe. I put Connor Wigman 5.
Connor Wigman 5.
Because I don't look in a loss. They scored 33 points, and I thought he threw 2 really nice touchdown passes.
Mm-hmm.
And the interceptions, one of them, what do? You put it right where the receiver is going to be, and the receiver slipped. Okay, it goes on him, but that's not a bad pass. That's just bad luck. And then the last one, is 4th down. You're losing by 2 touchdowns. You're throwing it up, hoping for the best. I get that. Quite frankly, it was a meaningless interception because it was going to take a miracle to bring you back. But okay, so if you want to put that on him, there's one interception that might be his fault. I saw a guy that's running and taking harder hits than apparently some of his receivers are willing to take. So I've been thoroughly impressed with Connor Wigman, and if you're not, I don't think you're paying really close attention.
Yeah, well, Saturday Down South had their rankings, and I'm not doing this to argue with Saturday Down South, but I just think it's interesting how people look at things differently, right? Like they had Connor 8th, and okay, fine. It says here.
Well, who'd they have? 5, 6, 7.
Well, okay, you want 5. They had number 1 as KJ Jefferson, by the way. Okay. 2, Jaden Daniels. 3, Spencer. 4, Jackson. 5, Will Rogers. 6, Joe Milton.
Okay, I guess nobody.
Number 7. Are you familiar with Jalen Milroe, who had 2 interceptions and didn't look great against the University of Texas? Are you familiar with him?
I saw him against Texas University.
Yeah. I'm sorry, TU. So that, and they had then Connor number 8, which again, I don't expect these guys to watch every second of every play, because I haven't, right? One of the things it talked about, let's see, Wegman, like Milroe, threw 2 interceptions in a disappointing loss. Well, if you watch the game, yeah, he threw 2 interceptions, but let's slow down. He dropped back 57 times and faced pressure on nearly half of them. Well, already, I feel like that's not on him, you know? The Aggies' final output on offense, 33 points on 433 yards, topped their production in 10 of 11 games, FBS opponents in both categories last year. Hello?
So why are you ranking him below Milroe after, you just said all these I think this guy, that sounds to me like a guy that just looked at stats and saw, didn't look at the game. I'm sure that's not O'Gara.
No. It was Matt Hinton.
And I'm thinking he looked at stats, saw there's 2 interceptions. Well,
when I evaluate a QB, I'm sorry, OB, when I evaluate a QB, I don't just look at the stats. I look at what he was facing, and that dude was under duress.
Well, apparently this guy doesn't look at the stats either if he's putting KJ number 1. And you know me, you're a big KJ guy. I'm a big KJ fan, but based on 2 games, let's get a
OBKJ.
What?
That's your new nickname, OBKJ.
I've been called much worse, usually like SOBKJ. But so based on just numbers, all right. Now Western Carolina and Kent State, 2 punching bags. He's completed 78.3% against Western Carolina, 3 touchdowns, 246 yards. Okay, he did what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Then against Kent State, terrible. 13 of 19, 136 yards, 2 touchdowns. Okay, they did what they're supposed to do. But if you're going to base it on what you do against really terrible opposition, I mean, New Mexico's beating Western Carolina.
Right.
New Mexico might be beating Kent State. If you haven't noticed, Kent State's not very good.
They're not very
good,
yeah.
One of their better players, one of their better defensive players from last year is now the nose guard at guess where?
I'm guessing ULM.
ULM.
Am I right?
Yes, you're right.
All right. You asked us, I was like, gotta be ULM, right? If you want to be a part of the discussion this morning, you can do it multiple ways. Call us, text us, 979-693-1150, 979-693-1150. Have you made up your mind on this team? I hope you haven't, but I think many of you have. And I'll get to Nick here in a second. The reason I bring it up is I'm at a cross-country event yesterday, and folks were stopping me and like, hey, man, what's up with the Aggies? What's up with Durkin? And my wife looked at me. She's like, you're sick of talking about this, aren't you? I was like, yeah, I am. But when they win, I can't talk about it enough. I'm like, yeah, let's talk about it. But we haven't had a lot of that since I've been in College Station. But and yesterday I was just like, I just don't. But people have made up their minds, a lot of them, and I get it. That's called being a fan. Like you ride the highs, you go down with the lows. I'd say I caution you from making up your mind just yet. But I also can totally understand like enough is enough. Vamos a ganar. Let's go win.
And, that's the bottom line, right? It doesn't matter how it's spun one way or another. Just go out and win. And they haven't done enough of that yet.
No, they have not. Let's say hi to Nick Savage. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
What's going on with you?
Well, what I'm about to say is completely contradictory of one another, but I've made up my mind about the offense. I think we've seen enough from them to know that they're going to be, the unit as a whole is going to be pretty good this year. Defensively, I think we've seen 2 completely different sides of the spectrum. I mean, one obviously was against New Mexico, so there's a little bit less weight with that there. But, I mean, I think after the Auburn game, we're really going to have an idea of how good the defense is. So that's when I think it would be fair to have your conclusion drawn about the team.
How dare you bring that up? I was ridiculed for thinking Auburn could be a line in the sand moment.
Well, no, what you were saying earlier this week is with what happened at Miami last Saturday, that game has, completely shot up the list of importance. So
it's a data point, and if you can't do it against them, then I think we know what kind of year it is.
Absolutely.
Just sitting here today, if you lose to Auburn, I really can't imagine it's not being another disaster. Auburn just went. Did you just watch any of the Auburn-Cal game?
No, but you were giving me updates of how bad they looked.
Cal missed I know 2 and maybe 3 field goals. Otherwise, they win.
Mm-hmm.
And they would get close and self-destruct. That maybe you want to say, Auburn's got a great defense. I'm not buying that yet. I don't think Cal's a good team. And they moved the ball, I thought, pretty well on Auburn. They just couldn't kick a field goal. And Auburn ended up trailed almost the whole game, and then finally got something going and won 14-10. And if you can't beat them again last year Auburn was atrocious and A&M was just worse. So if you can't beat them,
what are we doing here?
How many times do you start making excuses for what's going on over there?
No, you don't.
That's why I feel like I feel like you don't get you're not going to get a true sense, I think, of what this team's going to be until Arkansas.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Let's check in at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. The Angry Elephant, liberal cocktails at conservative prices, and the finest hot dogs in all of Texas. For more, go to theangryelephantbar.com.
That's a pretty good slogan there.
Which part of it? Because they're all good.
The part about liberal cocktail or at conservative prices.
Liberal cocktails at conservative prices and the finest hot dogs.
I actually have had their hot dogs, and I know you don't like hot dogs.
I'm not on team hot dog.
But I like hot dogs, and they have some really creative hot dogs, really good. And I'm saying that because You've
had them.
I've had them.
You can stamp it of approval.
Yes, I can.
Leanna Davison, good morning.
Do you like hot dogs, Leanna?
Oh, God. Your mic's not on. Hello, your mic's not on.
Okay, let's try this.
Good morning.
You like hot dogs?
Sorry, guys, about that. Yeah, no, I enjoy hot dogs. They're pretty good.
Do they eat a lot of hot dogs in Australia?
They have hot dogs. We have sausage sizzles, actually. A snag is what we call them at Bunnings. You get them. You go to a warehouse. It's kind of like, you're getting some buckets. You're getting all the tradie stuff. And, yeah, you can get a sausage sizzle. It's like a piece of bread, sausage on the middle, and then you have some sauce and some onion. It's pretty good.
I think we call that a sausage wrap. It's just a tortilla
sausage wrap?
instead of.
Yeah.
We just put it in a tortilla and call it a sausage wrap.
That's not the same at all.
Oh, she just called you out on the show.
It's a sausage surrounded by some kind of bread, and that's not the same at all.
You haven't had a good sausage sizzle yet. Snag.
Snag.
I don't have a real opinion on this topic at all, guys. Let's. What news do you have for us, or text, shall I say?
A text. So Ron in Oregon says, guys, I'm not a football guru, but my question is, where is the calling to slow down the rush, screens, slants, motion, etc.? Were we outcoached?
Yes, but I thought that they did a decent job slowing down the rush, and so especially to begin with, because they remember they were throwing out into the flat to the running backs, and they had some positive plays, and then Connor had some runs, and typically that'll slow down the rush. But I think they just had a lot of confusion. And again, I'm not going to crack too much on the offense when you score 33 points, and I'm disappointed that they left 8 points on the field.
Oh, OB, you're going to love this text.
Okay.
Listen, Leanna, can you read the 830?
830, is that up around Lubbock?
The 830 has given us a hard time in the past.
Okay.
So.
It says beating up on players and coaches because both groups to get mad and possible recruits to reconsider or change their minds to a different school. Thanks, in capital letters.
Okay, so we should tell everybody that A&M's defense looked great. It looked great last week.
I mean,
lie to me, baby, lie to me.
If we focus on stopping the run only, they did look great at stopping the run.
Stopping the run.
And we're going to do a 3-hour show on that.
Yeah, let's tell everybody everything's wonderful because those recruits, they didn't watch the game. They probably don't even know how the game came out.
I don't think the recruits are listening to the show right now, but if they are, I hope you come to Texas A&M and make a difference. And the players that are there, I think we've been very complimentary of the dudes out there.
I don't think, I've said before, I don't think this was a player issue. Now, I do think some guys could have played harder and played smarter, and I've talked about that, but sorry, it's just not in me. When the first time Gabe put me on this show, I said, I will always tell the truth as I see it. And I'm not going to come out here and lie and say everything looked great and everything's wonderful and A&M's going to go 11-1. Maybe they will and get into the playoff and beat Georgia and win the national championship because Miami's good.
Well, here's the reality of it. There's 1,000 opinions you can have on a football game. I liked what I saw from Connor. I liked what I saw from Bobby Petrino adjusting. I wish the defense adjusted at the half. And if they adjusted in the wrong way. Because Miami started looking like the freaking Kansas City Chiefs. Like they were just moving the ball at will. So that's the reality of the situation. The reality of the situation is You should win on the road in Miami. That's the reality. You didn't. So now your window for mistakes the rest of the way in SEC play is a lot smaller, much smaller.
Well, we know, we're always hoping that, and I don't think that A&M should have to adjust their goals all the time. Like say, okay, we just can't win this and this and this. But if you want to get in the playoff, not even saying win the national championship, if you want to be a playoff team, you can't lose again. You can't lose again. That was proven last year. 2 losses, you won't get in.
Yep. You're exactly right. Let's hit a break here. We'll come back with our Heisman Watch brought to you by the Shirtlift Law Firm. Right now, you know what, man? Let's take a page from that text and let's talk about what we always talk about the rib tips. What do you think, the pork chops are thinking when we talk about the rib tips and we don't really focus on the pork chops? You think their feelings are hurt and maybe they're not getting – let's talk about it.
Yeah, they're probably the pork chop, if it could talk, was probably say yes. Yes, those rib tips are amazing because they're my teammate. But I can look what I bring to the table when I'm brought to the table.
Do you think Dion is more of a rib tip kind of personality, or rib tips are more of a Dion type of personality?
Rib tips are definitely a Dion personality. They're saying, "Look at me, look what I've accomplished,
and I'm good.
I'm amazing. I know it."
And it's okay when you're good.
Yeah.
When you're good, you can do that.
And rib tips can do that.
What would macaroni and cheese at Fargo's like? What's the personality of that?
Probably a great, not just a good, but a great offensive lineman. Because you're the complementary.
You're a complementary piece.
But sometimes your offensive lineman, like a Kenyon Green, stands out.
And you're like, oh, hey.
No matter how good, even though you're playing a position of anonymity, you stand out. And I think that's what the macaroni cheese. It's macaroni and Kenyon Green cheese.
Did you know that Fargo's is one of the top?
It's one of the top barbecue joints in Texas, which equals being one of the top barbecue joints in the world.
Yeah, that's so true. 1701 South Texas Avenue in Bryan. Without a doubt, the what?
It's without a doubt what? It's the best barbecue in Texas and the world. And you say that for one reason. For one reason only.
Because it's true.
Because it's true.
That's your trademark. And that's the truth.
That is the truth.
If the gloves don't fit, I don't know. I just felt like saying that. It's Fargo's. Go check it out.
I know.
TexAgs Radio. He knows TexAgs Radio. Presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. 911, oh, not 911, 888-44 Rollo, or go to rolloinsurance.com. The headquarters is right here in College Station on Highway 6.
But if you have an emergency with your car,
you can call
glad that you had Rollo Insurance.
They'll take care of you. Yeah. It is the Go Hour presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. He's Olin Buchanan, and I'm David Nuño, and it is now time for the Heisman Watch, brought to you by the Shurtleff Law Firm. The Heisman Watch brought to you by Shurtleff Law Firm, delivering justice for those who need it most. Olin Buchanan, let's get into it, shall we?
Okay, before we start, let me say this, all right? I've said this before, but I think it's an honor to be one of the Heisman Trophy voters.
Yep.
And so if you have that honor, you have to take it seriously, and you cannot be influenced positively or negatively by where a player plays. You just look at what their production is.
I already know where you're going now.
So
buddy.
Number 5 on my list, Quinn Ewers, the University of Texas quarterback. He's passed for 349 yards and 3 touchdowns in that 34-24 victory over Alabama. You got to give credit where credit is due. He's thrown for 609 yards and 6 touchdowns this year, and has also run for a touchdown.
In the biggest high-profile game of this season,
he was the star of it, right?
He was, yeah.
Number 4, I got Michael Penix, another quarterback. This one from the University of Washington. He's the nation's second leading passer. He threw for 409 yards and 3 touchdowns in a 43-10 win over Tulsa. Overall this year, in 2 games, he's thrown for 859 yards, 8 touchdowns, with just 1 interception.
Yep. He's been fantastic and expected. I mean, that program puts up some numbers.
He's going to be playing the NFL next year. Number 3, Shedeur Sanders, the Colorado quarterback. Now, he's the nation's leading passer. He's completed 77.5% of his attempts for 903 yards, 6 touchdowns. Last week, he threw for 393 yards and 2 touchdowns and ran in one in that 36-14 victory over Nebraska. I know Nebraska's not very good, but their defense is pretty decent.
Man, look, I've said it a couple times over the last 2 weeks. I don't know how the season's going to turn out for Colorado. Are they a 6-win team? Are they a 9-win team? But I tell you, it feels like the arrow's pointing up, and we're seeing it pointing up.
Well, it is pointing up. They've already exceeded last year's win total.
They only won 1 last year?
They only won 1.
Wow.
I think they're going to win 8 when it's all over with, but they're going to win this week probably against Colorado State.
Look, I don't know what goes into schemes for them and all that stuff, but there is something about believing in your coach, right, and wanting to run through a wall. And it feels like Colorado wants to run through a wall for that guy.
Yeah, it does. But the schemes matter. But
sure,
yes, the attitude.
No, they do matter, but there is something about wanting to run through the wall.
Yes. Number 2, I got Caleb Williams, the USC quarterback, last year's Heisman Trophy recipient. Completed 19 or 21 passes for 281 yards and 3 touchdowns, and ran in a touchdown in that 56-10 thrashing of Stanford. Wife went to Cal, so when Stanford loses, I call it a thrashing. Through three games, he's thrown for 878 yards, 12 touchdowns, no picks.
That's a fantastic start to your season.
That's pretty dang good.
And
number 1 on my list
got to be
is Jordan Travis, the Florida State quarterback. They were on cruise control last week, so he didn't put up huge numbers in a 66-13 win over Southern Mississippi. He only passed for 107 yards and 2 touchdowns, but that to me doesn't erase that opening performance when he had 342 yards passing and 4 touchdowns in that win over LSU.
Yeah, man, Florida State's made me a believer. They have.
Well, they've got Clemson coming up in 2 weeks, and I don't know what that means anymore. At least they'll have Miami coming up sometime. So I think they play Miami.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We'll see. All right, let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Leanna Davidson is having a good time. I know we've got some text messages popping in.
Hello. Yes, we have a message from here. Honest question. Could an issue be the defense having to adjust to the loss of TP and a new D-line coach?
I don't think so.
No. I mean, there were issues last year getting to the quarterback. I mean,
they had a pop gun pass rush last year, 18 or 19 sacks. They couldn't stop the run. Last week, the issue was they couldn't
put pressure on Tyler Van Dyke.
Pressure, and then
the receivers, the
DBs
were getting torched. Yeah.
I mean, it's still, to me, it's mind-boggling. 241 yards after catch.
Yep.
That's mind-boggling.
It is.
So, no, I don't think – look, we all miss Terry Price, wish he was here, and I'm sure that he would be coaching those guys up like crazy. But I don't think you can look at that and say, hey, that's the reason that, you're not getting it done on defense.
Leanne, let's get one more.
Yeah, so we're actually having a little debate on the YouTube chat right
now.
Uh-oh. We've got Nick involved in everything. So Chris Cobb says, Jimbo has already lost the locker room. Definitely needs to go, gentlemen. We also have Carl saying, $100 million coach losing the locker room in week 2 of year 6 is wild.
Well, I wonder if those guys were actually in the locker room, right?
I don't have that sense at all from any of the players.
That's my whole argument, OB. It's just like, what evidence do you have? How do you know that?
I'm sure there's some guys were upset that they lost. They all talked about it. Anais talked about it. I don't. What evidence do you have that Jimbo's lost the locker room? I don't know that.
By the way,
you don't know that.
I just want to make sure that we're on the same page. We're pretty happy with the offense.
Yes.
I'm not ecstatic because the offensive line to me hasn't been good enough. But I'm happy with the offensive production, the offensive numbers.
Yeah, what I liked about the team was that they got a couple of breaks and they capitalized. You can say, oh, well, they only had to go 25 yards for 2 touchdowns. Yeah, but they capitalized. That. And then what I don't like is, Connor was under pressure a lot, but also they had opportunities to get touchdowns and had to settle for field goals. And I thought that the reasons that they didn't get those touchdowns instead of field goals were lack of effort or lack of concentration.
There were some mistakes out there. Bottom line is, though, you're not going to win a lot of games where you give up 48 points. And I don't care how they came. If it's all on off or defensive issues or special teams, you don't win games giving up 48 points. I mean, can you? Sure. But
if you're TCU last year, right?
Right.
But if you're counting on outscoring your opponent in a track meet every week, you're probably not going to be successful.
More than doubling your output of last year. More than double. There was a 22 points a game team. They've scored,
85.
80.
I think, is it 85? 52 and 33 comes out to 85. It took them exactly 4 games to score 85 last year.
Yeah. All right, let's hit a break here. Double. Excited to talk about the HD 13, the Hilliard Discussion 13, the ultimate recovery modality for performance. Thanks to our friends at the Huff Hines Institute. Excited to announce they're going to have 5 speakers this year speaking on different approaches to recovery, from training for the average person, exerciser, or long weekend of work. There will not be your run-of-the-mill techniques out there. Doors are going to open at 5 o'clock. That's right, at the Hilliard 13, the HD 13. That is going to be on Thursday, September 21st, 5 to 8 o'clock. It's going to be from 5 to 5:30. Come meet Miss Rev early, then 5:30 to 7, the Q&A. 7 to 8, meet and greet with the speakers, light appetizers there at the Annenberg Presidential Conference Center next to the Bush Library. Free parking in Lot 43. Registration is free, but requested. Go to huffhinesinstitute.org and go to events. You'll see the information. So here's some of the info that you can expect to hear. It's on recovery and for hard work. A lot of speakers are practitioners out there. They're going to talk about cupping, dry needling, shockwave therapy, cryotherapy, you name it. Speakers include Dr. Heather Linden, physical therapist. You have Dr. Saul Luna, athletic trainer at Texas A&M Track and Field. Dr. Joyce Terrell, athletic trainer, faculty at Morehouse College. And Dr. Reagan Suarez, physical therapist there at Rice and Houston Medical, and Major Evan Carson, physical therapist at the U.S. Air Force. So a lot of great speakers to talk all about it. Make sure you go check it out and go to registration at huffhinesinstitute.org and go to events, and you'll be able to see it right there at the Hilliard Discussion. Again, it's going to be a good time at the HD 13, the Hilliard Discussion 13. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Now that is the place that you can go on 911 University Drive East in College Station. The ideal gift for any David Yurman collector, signature bracelet to add to her stack. Check it out at David Gardner's Jewelers. Shop online at davidgardnersjewelers.com. It is the Rollo Insurance Studio that we're doing our show from, and we are the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Olin, let's have a little strategy session.
All right, let's do it.
We're going to have some experts in studio here soon. Steven in a few minutes, Ryan McGee. Ryan McGee's a talk show host. Ryan Swope and Stephen McGee. We can ask them about some strategy sessions. But, like, if we're spitballing here, defensively, what are some things that I think are easy fixes that eye in the sky, any fan would like to see A&M attempt? What are some things?
Well, the first thing to me that should be an easy fix is the tackling. You know, to me, that's just more effort. Because let's face it, we saw some pretty half-hearted efforts. You know, and understand. Look, I gotta get them on the ground, not just make contact. You know, make sure they're on the ground. So to me, that's the first thing. I'd like to see them get more creative in their blitzes.
Yep.
And actually see more blitzes. And I want to see the guys that are the best players play significantly more than the other guys.
Look, there is a mindset. So I always bring up my kids in this, because I think it can apply in any walk of life. When Isla, my youngest, plays soccer, I always like, you got to treat that ball like they're trying to kidnap your kid. That is your ball. You will be the first to it every single time. There's got to be a mentality. Mm-hmm. You've got to get there faster and stronger. And that's when you're on the pitch, when you're on the field, that's what you do. The same thing can apply in anything in life that you do, especially when you're talking about football, right? And there's got to be a mindset that, like, there is no way I'm going to give this dude an inch. That's on the offensive line. That's on the defensive line. That's when you make tackles. The other part is, are you out of position? And are you out of position because of scheme? Or are you out of position because you just got beat, right? Out of position leads to lack of good tackling. All that needs to be fixed. Needs to. To me, it is a mindset change, and it is disheartening that it hasn't happened considering what this program went through last year.
Yeah, in my opinion, the defense last week was an epic failure on every level. I mean, you didn't rush the passer. Okay, not on every level. You played good run defense. And I'm really impressed with so far with the improvement that we've seen at linebacker.
You got to give them props.
That has to be. I think Edgerrin Cooper's playing well. I think Torian York has played
really well, yeah.
You know, to come in as a freshman. The defensive line against the rush looks good. But beyond that, you're not getting a pass rush. You're not covering that well.
And I'm sorry for saying this. Well, I know you could. I want to see some. I'm not sorry. I want to see some different types of blitzes, confusing defenses. I do want to see that. But I also want to just see some fundamental football where we get around the edge and get to the quarterback.
Well, and it seems to me, and I'm just watching. I'm not getting the game film and going over and over and over, but it seems to me that, and I've talked about this before, that on pass rushes, your ends are the big guys. Okay, that's great. That too often can't get off blocks or can't get around the guys. It looks like I don't know if they're just trying to bull rush or if they just can't get around the guys that are blocking them. But you need some speed rush on the ends.
Yep.
And I'm surprised, I would think, as big as he is, what we saw from Shamar Stewart against New Mexico when he got the face mask, but we just ran down the wide receiver. So I know there's speed there.
C. Rogers on the YouTube page says, by the way, you guys have completely stopped subscribing.
Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy, I want to see him too.
Yeah, heck yeah. C. Rogers says, morning, David. It's not that people have made up their minds, but the product on the field year after year is not good enough under Jimbo, with little exceptions. Wouldn't you agree? I would agree since 2020.
Yeah, I thought the first 3 years were good. Yeah, they lost 5 games in 2019. The 4 teams you lost to were ranked 14th or higher, and 4 of them were ranked number 1 at one time. And I know you were supposed to beat good teams, but
at that time in the program,
you had just lost 10 players to the NFL. You're still transitioning, so that was somewhat understandable. And then you came back with a good year in 2020, and I thought everything was trending well to where we were going to get to a point where A&M expected to win 10 games a year, and we know what's happened.
Yeah. So look, it isn't good enough, but we're not going to spend hopefully the next 10 weeks talking about it isn't good enough. I'm hoping it gets good enough, and hope is not a strategy. I know that, but I'm not coaching across the street. I'm not one of the players across the street. My thinking is when you, and I know people don't want to hear about talent, but when you have, at least on paper, the best talent, I expect you to figure it out.
Well, there's a reason you recruit.
Right. If not, there would be a draft, right? Like you recruit, you get the bet, and you got the players that you wanted, the same players that Bama wanted, the same players that Georgia wanted, the same players that LSU wanted. Now you got to make your pot of gumbo. Is that and make it work.
Right.
Make it work.
And right now, on the defensive side, it's not working.
No. All right. We'll come back with Stephen McGee here on TexAgs Radio. Let's talk Chance McClain and Heritage Films, yourheritagefilm.com. Have you gotten your documentary done yet? I'm serious. Like, a lot of you are, like, waiting. Like, why would you wait? I actually heard from somebody that luckily they got a Heritage film done early enough because they lost this loved one later on. And they're like, they sent me an email about 6 months ago, like, hey, thank you for the encouragement of doing this, because had we not done this, we wouldn't have been able to do it later. You don't want to wait. And I'm not saying you need to do it today, but you need to consider it today. Yourheritagefilm.com, a documentary film about loved ones in your life. It could be your dad, your mother. It could be your family business, your family ranch. Chance McClain will bring his crew out there, light it up, and tell the story, right? He'll ask you the questions. He'll get videos from the past. He'll get pictures from the past and tell this 2-hour documentary about your family name, your family history, and it'll be very HBO, Netflix style. And he also offers a different package for the youngers, right? That is called the Year Flicks. It's like a 20-minute Q&A video, green screen with like videos pop up behind it, but it's more to get to know your kid, a benchmark video to, Q&A style. You like Coke, you like Pepsi, whatever it may be, right? Like there's different things that you can ask on these, and Chance is just so good at getting kids to open up. We did it with my daughter. Yourheritagefilm.com is the website. 713-893-8341, yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341. Oh, you just go there. We go. Hey, guys, we're doing that on the air. Nick's giving me instructions. I'm barking them out here. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, RQB1, Paragon Financial, Stephen McGee with us. Esteban, ¿cómo estás?
So happy this morning. You know I'm a big yard guy, big grass guy, and when you get God's rain, it's just different than the water sprinklers, and I'm just smiling ear to ear today. I want green grass back in this town.
Yeah, we need some rain.
You know, one day I'm gonna
see it.
I'm gonna have you come by as a consultant and tell me what to do. I think I told you last time, like, I am the worst edger in the world. It's not I can't do it correctly. Anyway.
I want to know the inside joke so bad, don't you, Olin?
It wasn't an inside joke by me. It's all them back there. I'll tell you at the break. Hey, I want to do a buy-sell-lease because Terry Bowden, head coach of ULM, son of obviously Bobby Bowden, his brothers, is it Jeff and Tommy Bowden?
Tommy.
Right? So we're going to do father-son combos, football, and I chose NFL guys, all right? And I want you to buy, sell, or lease these, all right? So here we go. Olin, you're playing too. Buddy Ryan with his sons Rex and Rob.
Okay? Oh, I'm buying that all day.
Okay.
Bum Phillips and Wade Phillips.
Oh, God, I'm selling that all day.
And Mike Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yep. Steven, you go first.
I'm not buying anybody. Okay, go ahead, Steven. You're the
best football. God, that's a hard one. The Shanahans arguably
the most
successful, and I think offensively mind geared, but the Ryan family, from a defensive perspective, they're football geniuses. It's unbelievable.
They make me laugh too.
They do. So let's go Shanahan's buy. I'll lease the Ryans, and unfortunately, my guy, Coach Phillips, Wade Phillips, we'll have to sell him. Though I like him. He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
I will buy the Shanahans, even with him not just running and kicking the field goal and winning the Super Bowl, for the Falcons, Kyle, but Mike won plenty. I guess I will lease the Ryans. I thought the son with the one that looks like the Hell's Angel, I thought he was kind of –
that's Rob Ryan.
I think he was funny. But Buddy, remember, he was the one that went to Arizona and said, oh, you guys got a winner here now. And then they lost all the time. So Buddy was a terrible head coach.
Yeah.
And then I will sell the Phillipses. I thought Bum was fine, even though the game passed him by. I thought Wade. You ever drive by like a car dealership? And they have this kind of a balloon guy, and it just makes a lot. The Cowboys could have put that on the sideline, just a balloon guy, and it would have made more positive impact on the team than Wade Phillips did. Wade Phillips was a freaking disaster, and I thought it could never get worse until they hired Jason Garrett.
Well, one thing I'll give Wade is he's got a year or two as a defensive coordinator that your defense – like, hello.
Okay, it's a defensive coordinator.
Yeah,
put him as a head coach.
Yeah, it's different.
And he's a complete buffoon. And the fact that he stayed the coach
you really pushed a button.
I really did. You could have anyway. Because at least the thing like that, the balloon, if the wind blew just right, it might look like he's making a decision. And which puts him ahead of Wade.
I'm going to change up the question a little bit. And I think I know the answer for most of you. If you had to have a beer with them, buy, sell, lease that group.
Oh, all day the Ryans.
The Ryans all day, right? Yeah.
That's just and I would.
The Phillips, maybe?
I would go definitely two is going to be the Phillips, because Wade's I like him a lot. Like, he was
Wade's a good dude.
Cool guy in the locker room and everything. And then the Shanahans they are what you think.
They're studying.
I remember I met with him at the NFL Combine when he was I think he was the QB coach for Washington, and he was the least enjoyable of everybody I talked to there.
Yeah, I could see that. Now, when I back in the day covered the Texas Longhorns, Kyle was a receiver, and
that's right.
And he was a really nice kid. Now, who knows what he's like now? But back then, he was a really nice, polite, engaging young man. And then he tried to hop a fence, and he got impaled through his thigh.
Is that what happened? Why he was on the IR for? He would always wear the jersey,
right? Because he was trying to hop a fence at their pool. I guess they had a fence going around their pool, and he was trying to hop it, and he lost his balance, and he got impaled.
Wait, am I right? They share the tattoos, right?
Probably.
Chris Sims and.
Oh, well, right there,
yeah.
I wouldn't have a beer with him then. And if I did, it sounds like
I might be making that up. I might make that up.
I did. Good gosh. He's on.
I'm playing.
He's on fire this morning.
I was hoping I'd get a bigger laugh than that.
It was good. It was aggressive. I like it.
Olin, thank you very much, sir.
That was it?
That's it for Olin. He's
All
done.
right.
But you've got Ryan Swope coming up next. Swopey will be here in studio. We'll get a kind of a state of the program address from both of these gentlemen when we come back on TexAgs Radio. We're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. It feels like a Friday the last 30 minutes or so. Maybe some Steven and Olin linked up. And now it's going to be Steven and Ryan Swope. Our QB1 is Stephen McGee. Ryan Swope, our WR1. Is that a new thing? We're just going to. They're having a private conversation. Welcome in. If you want to be a part of the conversation, 979-693-1150. You guys know your mics are on, right?
Oh, sorry.
Hey, what's your worst nightmare?
McGee.
Like what would be one of your, like, as it relates to in your house?
That was in your house?
Like a huge snake.
In your house.
In my house.
Like you're just like, all of a sudden you're operating, you're like, oh, God. That happened to us last night.
Oh, a huge snake in your house?
Not huge.
But big enough to make you cry?
Mongolians.
I hate snakes. I freaked out.
You saw it or you heard it? Or like, what happened?
Oh, my gosh. How did that get?
There's a snake crawling. And you know what's ironic about it? It's in the cat zone. We have 2 cats. They were sleeping on the job. You think that there's...
That's scary.
Yeah, it's like you lose a football game. You know, you come back for coach says you better come to practice ready to go.
Yeah.
These cats,
they weren't ready.
They're
to
on
go.
check now.
Yeah.
They got one job to do. They got to start paying their rent. They didn't get the job done. There was a snake crawling on. My wife had to find it. She thought I was playing a joke on her too. She's like, "Is this your fake snake?" And then she saw it crawling. She's like, "Oh my gosh, it's real."
Dude, what kind of snake is that?
I don't know. It looks like a bull snake, maybe.
It looks like like a chicken snake or something. I don't know.
Is that poisonous? I don't even know anything.
No.
They're all poisonous in my opinion.
They're like snipe.
Yeah, snipe. You got to watch those Mongolian snipe.
I love those.
Yeah.
We still got to go do that.
Yeah.
Can you imagine going to the bathroom and there was a snake?
I can't believe that was crawling around in your house. I do believe it because, dude, there's so many snakes.
That's my nightmare is you're going to the bathroom and a snake bites you.
Like on the leg or?
Yeah, you know where.
Yep. All right, gentlemen. That was a good segue, by the way, because sleeping on the job, I feel like the secondary, they weren't sleeping on the job, but they weren't getting it done, guys. Let's talk about the state of the defense to start, and we can do the state of the program, Ryan.
Yeah, it was tough to watch. I just thought, golly, year in, year out, I just feel it's the same. Nothing's changing. We've got all these resources.
Can I pause you for a second? Because I think what happens is something changes, but then new things pop up, and that's even more concerning.
Yeah. We just need to go back to the fundamentals. We need to tackle better. We looked lost, too. Our defensive backs, I don't know if it's blown assignments or there's some miscommunication, but it didn't look like those guys were really meshing, playing together. And, you know, you hate to see it. Let's just put it that way.
Hey, you do. It's a good word. Missed tackles.
Yeah.
It's confounding. Like, I don't know.
It's terrible, man.
When does that – I don't even know. I've never played defense. I don't know how you fix that. But, like, why are we give up so many explosives because of missed tackles? It's frustrating. I think, for me, everything on the defensive side of the ball has to do with the pass game. The inability to get after the quarterback. How many 3rd and longs did he have all day to throw the football? Yeah, that's when Mike Elko would dial it up. You never had all day with Elko because that's the chance for the D coordinator to imprint their plan. Like 3rd and long is a defensive coordinator's dream because they're dialing up stuff to break down what that team's going to do in protection. You're always going to have a free rusher on the quarterback. I saw Elko do it every week. He would break down a new look.
Dude, they had all day to
That kid was sitting back there,
like, granted, like our DBs, you can sit there and point fingers, but dude, you can only cover a guy for so long.
Sure.
When he's got 6-7 seconds to sit back there and go through his reads 3 or 4 different times, eventually you can't guard a guy for
How
that
many
long.
QB pressures did we get on drop back game? Like what percent?
I mean, it was
it couldn't be high. I remember a handful of times we got pressure on the kid.
There was 2 sacks in the game. And
we didn't bring
he had routinely 5-6 seconds, and I think Connor had routinely 2.5 seconds. That's what it felt like.
Connor had like half a second.
I thought Connor played pretty good.
Connor's unbelievable.
He's a good quarterback. He's running out there for his life. I thought, golly, if we could just get him some blocking, and he's special. I mean,
he's so good.
Yeah, he's really good.
Which is what brings me back to the original point. It's like last year I was like, can we score another touchdown a game? Well, we're scoring way more than a touchdown a game right now, right? Can we stop the run? Well, we're stopping the run. But then something else pops up, and that's frustrating. I will give Bobby Petrino this. There were some second-half adjustments to get that offense moving, right? I don't think I saw that from the defense.
No. Wow. I don't think we saw much of anything from the defense. I don't know. It's hard to watch. But I will say the last 5 years, I mean, it's kind of flip-flop. You know, we were so dependable on our defense. They bailed us out. They scored more points for us. They put us in the end zone sometimes, and we look up and we win the game. Here we are, 6 years later, it's flip-flopped. Offensively, we look pretty good. I'd like to see us run the football more efficiently. But all in all, we've got a great quarterback. We got tons of talent on the offensive side of the ball. Mm-hmm. And here we are searching for a defense. I mean – and it goes back to fundamentals, just tackling. I just don't see a defense swarming to the football. I wish we were blitzing more, putting more pressure on their quarterback, and I'm just not seeing it. That was a good Miami team, don't get me wrong, but I think that doesn't matter at this point.
Yeah.
We should be a top 5 team in the country year in, year out with all the resources that we have right here at Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this.
Next question.
The next question is, how much more frustrating is it knowing what happened 90 miles down the road, or for the program 90 miles down
I
the
hope
road?
It's a wake-up call. I mean, let's just put it that way.
They're good. That quarterback gets hot. Remember I said it in the offseason, and I drew flack.
That's a good team.
Some of my buddies that I played with were like pumping me like, dude, what did you say about Texas on air during the offseason? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And here it is. I'm telling you, dude.
Here we go.
They're different, and
they're good. They're a lot better than we are.
Yeah.
That quarterback's making plays. He's a good player. I would rather have Connor. I really would. He's a really good player. He's probably going to be a first-round pick.
Yeah. Connor's really good. They're both very good players, but
they're dialing it up. They're in. I mean, and they've got some talent, but they're living up to it. They're not intimidated by anybody, and they're going out and getting it done. And I think the most frustrating part of that football game for me was the 4th and 1 down in the low red when we should have gotten the first down. Mm-hmm. We came up short, remember? And then we deliberate about what we're going to do, burn a timeout, and then get a penalty and have to kick a field goal. And to me, that's when the whole game we lost.
Crumbled.
We're down. We kick a field goal. We're down 1. They run it back the next play, and we're down 8, and we never really recovered. We had the interception, and turnovers kill you.
Yeah.
Granted that the turnovers really weren't our fault.
Receiver slip.
And then the fumble. They made a good play. They put a hat on the ball on the run play. It's not really Amari's fault.
That was a great
hit by them. But
golly, those safeties were
that 4th and 1, man. That indecision. You got to know offensively. Like the first time, I mean, like I have a chance to put this game away, like change the dynamic. I'm gonna call. I have my play ready to go. Everyone knows. Yeah. The offense knows. It's call it kamikaze. Everyone lines up and let's go. We're like everyone knows we're going for it. The kicker knows we're going for it. Like he's not even over there kicking because he knows
we're going for it.
We're going for it, and we're going to score a touchdown. But to me, it was like, oh, we're hum. We should have gotten we're down. Oh, timeout. And then we go out there. Oh, jump. It's like that frustrated me.
Yeah,
that was a lot of the same.
And there's some situational, which I think goes back to just overall. What are we doing in practice to put these players in a game-like situation, and have that field awareness? Mm-hmm. Evan Stewart twice could have got the first down. Just go north and south, but instead he catches the ball and runs backwards 3 or 4 yards. Mm-hmm. And we end up settling for a field goal. Stuff like that, you've got to be aware of the situation on the field, the down and distance. You can't afford it. It's 3rd down. We need to keep the chains going. We have a great drive going, and we end up just going the wrong way.
That's the details and fundamentals that coaches often talk about that fans hate to hear.
I know.
Because everyone wants to point the finger at like all the great plays he made, which he made a ton of them.
A ton of them, and I'm not pointing fingers at just him.
But that's the fundamental, like the tackling, right? You can see now the impact it has on a football game when you miss tackles and it leads to an explosive, or you don't get north and south and you don't get the yard. That little difference.
It's a game of inches, man.
There it is. It's
you're talking about a win versus a loss.
Exactly.
I'm going to read you this, and I'm going to follow up with 2 different things. This is from Mario Cristobal, right at the top of the show. He said, when you get conservative, you get beat. That's how I was raised coaching. And I especially from a defensive standpoint, I love that thinking. That to me brings me back to my old school wrecking crew days, right? My old school, like watching it, not playing. Yeah. I love that line. I mean, it is just a line, but it's a mentality as well.
I agree. I love coaches that are aggressive, start to finish. I think the best ones are. I mean, look at it across the country. Alabama's that way. Georgia is. They're aggressive in their thinking and their play calling, the way they do business, and you got to be in front of the trends.
Yep. Right.
Yeah, we've got to be better. I'm all about being aggressive out the gates, and I feel like we had a great start, but
incredible
start. We just got too kind of comfortable.
Momentum's a thing, guys. I mean, and A&M had the momentum.
Oh,
they didn't seize it, though, right?
I mean, we could have ran away that game if we were just a little bit more aggressive, and I feel like we kind of just went back to basics, couldn't wrap up, couldn't put the ball in the end zone, so it just gave Miami an opportunity to fire out, and they put their foot on the gas and they didn't stop.
You guys played at a very high level, so I'm going to ask you this: how important is wanting to run through a wall for your coach? So like the Dion factor, that's what it feels like, right? Regardless of what you think about him, there's a feeling that his players are playing for him. When you played, did that make a big difference, or is that more media speak?
100%.
Yeah.
I think so. I don't know. Everybody kind of has their own opinion on it, but I think it's critical that you have more than just a coach relationship with your head coach or your position coaches, because it all kind of molds together and it bleeds to the locker room. And so if you don't have that camaraderie, that love for your coach, that you're going in day in, day out, putting blood, sweat and tears for each other. If you don't have that there and it's not going to work. It's just not. Well, there's times where, I don't know. What do you think?
I like the culture. I mean, there's different ways to do it.
Yeah.
So Saban's on the opposite spectrum, but everyone knows what their job is, what their role is, what their expectation is, and it's to win a championship. And every day, whether you're a trainer or you're the starting quarterback, you know what your job is. And if you're not doing that job, you're gone. That's the expectation, because it takes everybody to win a championship.
100%.
And Dion has his way of doing it, which involves a lot more flash, and I'm sure it's more attractive as a player's coach than Saban's more critical, hard, coach them down. But at the end of the day, they've both proven to work to this point, right? Colorado could be a 6-6 football team, but we don't know yet. There's different ways to do it, but I think that you set that culture from the top down.
Does this weekend do anything for you at all? Like, they should beat ULM. They should have put up a lot of points. Does it matter? Can you fix things this week for the future? It
100% matters. You need to go out and show that you've quickly digested the Miami game. Yeah. You win, and you win in dramatic fashion. Like, it's 52-0. You just overwhelm them, start to finish. There's never a doubt at any point in that football game. And you show a sign of maturity. Like, hey, we had a disappointing loss. We're going to move on from that one. And we're going to remind everybody that we're still a really, really good football team, and that we're going to make something of this year.
100%. Look, Miami's a good team. They're probably a top 10 football team. I mean, they've got the dudes. I think they're going to compete in this league. So you got that going for you. You also look up, which I don't know if this has ever happened, but you got LSU sitting at 50%. You got Alabama sitting at 50%. You got Texas A&M sitting at 50% in the SEC West. When's the last time that's happened? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of football left. And so if we can stay focused, stay positive, I know those guys are going to go back. They're going to watch film, dissect it, get healthy. We're going to be ready to go on Saturday.
Rally, right?
We got to rally, baby.
So
that's what Aggies do.
So I asked this at the top of the show. Have you guys made up your mind on what kind of team this team is this year? Like, do you feel like because of what we saw the last 2 years and what we saw in Miami, I kind of already have an idea how the season's going to play out? Or are you still open?
I'm still open. I think that there's a lot of I think that's let me put it this way. I think that's a disappointed locker room, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. I like it. It's well said. I, in my mind, think I know how the season's going to play out, but prove me wrong.
Yeah. Well, here's the biggest thing, guys. You do got the quarterback, right?
Hey, man,
he's
right? So good. That guy can win some games on his own. He's that good.
And that's what it's going to take, man. Like, that guy, he should be proud of the way he played, and I like his demeanor on the field.
Do you see some of those throws he made?
Oh, dude,
those with the guy in his face.
Yes.
Do you see that ball location?
Yeah. Now he just needs to go get his team and rally. So, and that's sometimes what it takes, man.
That is true. That's what he's got to do.
Johnny Manziel, you lose to Florida, next thing you know, you're at least at bid for a championship. So
how was Johnny after that game?
After Florida,
yeah.
I mean, he took a lot of heat, but that dude's a fierce competitor. He didn't care. I mean, you don't listen to the outsiders when you're in the moment. Yeah. You just worry about what you can what you can control, and ultimately that's what he did. That's what we did, and you kind of block everybody else out.
Look,
so
I don't know if he's at Caleb Williams' level, and again, Caleb's playing in the Pac-12, who's having a great start to the season, but that team with no defense finds ways to win games. I expect that those 5 and 4 stars are eventually going to figure it out, and the coaching behind it's going to be figuring it out. And if you got that dude at quarterback with those playmakers, you got to just now protect them, right? You got to protect them.
Go score points.
Well, you just got to get. It's not protecting him is one thing, but getting in their way, just like create a little shield for like 2 seconds, would be an upgrade. I think that's almost proven to be enough for Connor. He's a really good football player. He's still young. I hate putting this much pressure on the kid, but every time he's been out in the field, he's made these types of throws. There's never been a moment when he's been the starting quarterback where he's been on that field and he said to himself, like, I don't know about this kid. Every time he's been out there, he makes a throw and you think to yourself, my gosh, I don't know many NFL guys that can make that throw.
Yeah.
The one exception is the rain game here at Kyle Field when you can barely hold the football.
Right.
But come on. You and I wouldn't even be able to complete one, and he found a way to do it. So
we gotta run the ball better, though.
You gotta run the football better, and you gotta get help. I mean, football's the consummate team game. You can't just have a great quarterback and expect to win, but it's the key sauce.
How important does that Auburn game become now? So we got ULM, Auburn, Arkansas, Bama, Tennessee, right? And I know that this game matters. You've explained the good reasons why it matters, but now Auburn at home, inferior opponent. The season go down real south, or you can get that little optimism right back.
Yeah, I'm not even worried about Auburn right now. I think it just take 1 week at a time. I know what you're saying. Looking ahead, I mean, that schedule, we've got to win.
You got such a more narrow margin now, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can't afford to lose, and so.
God, wouldn't it be great if they just run the table from here?
Flip
the script.
It's doable, though.
It's
doable, man.
There isn't a single game on that schedule that they can't win, and there ain't a single game on that schedule except ACU that they can't lose. And you have one.
Well, hey, I'm not trying to bust the bubble, but they've got to learn how to win on the road, guys. They can't win on the road. It's been since 21 since they've won a real road game.
Yeah, I agree.
Like a real road game. Missouri's the last time they won on the road.
Oh, gosh.
So you're going to go to Tennessee.
Arkansas's leading the SEC West right now. That's crazy.
Ole Miss and LSU. You go to Baton Rouge, Knoxville. Like, goodness gracious.
Are you?
That's crazy.
I'm going to that Knoxville game.
I'll be there.
I want it to matter.
Yeah.
You're going? Nice. That'll be fun.
We're going camping up in the Smoky Mountains.
Oh my god.
Is that a bad idea? With Kirk Elder and Harrington and Jackson Appel?
Sounds incredible.
Sounds like a great weekend. Hey,
s'mores and go fishing.
It feels weird to ask, and I think I know the answer, but who got it done this past weekend?
I don't know. Who do you think got it done?
Connor
we certainly didn't. Well, Connor didn't get it done because he didn't win.
Well, that's true. Cooper, linebacker, played well. I mean, you're talking about just guys that
however you want to take it.
However
you want to take it.
I mean, it is a
question.
I like your perspective, Swopey, because you're saying, well, quarterbacks are judged by winning and losing, and you lost, so you didn't get the job done, which is true.
Okay,
but
Dallas
he played
Dallas
well.
got it.
Cowboys got it done.
God,
how about that defense? God, oh my gosh.
Hey, how would you like to be a quarterback playing against that D line right now?
Heck yeah,
scary.
Micah Parsons.
Oh my gosh,
dude's an animal.
Who didn't get it done?
The Giants.
Make it easy.
Oh my gosh, that was bad. Oh. SEC West did not get it done. It's crazy, man. When's the last time Alabama, LSU, and Texas A&M
have looked like this to start the year? Yeah,
back of the pack.
Hey, how about that Alabama quarterback? Remember I said it last year? I'm telling you.
Yeah, no,
they haven't been in that kind of a pickle.
He's boo-boo.
And some people ranked them higher than Connor right now.
Of course they did, because they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Texas is feeling so proud right now.
They got it done.
Oh, we're coming in the SEC. We beat Bama. Oh,
they didn't really beat Bama is the way I look at it, which is maybe to make me feel better. That's not the Bama that I know.
Well, timing's great for them.
Yeah, congrats.
We better wake up.
Who's going to get it done this weekend?
What's the big matchup in college?
Yeah, what is the
we got what? Here, let me get my list. We've got
Is there a top 25 matchup?
Ole Miss and Georgia Tech, which I'm excited about because it's Haynes King.
Haynes.
Yeah,
Haynes.
That's a good one.
Ronnie said he's leading the country in passing.
Is that what it is? Really?
Or something?
Tennessee at Florida.
Yeah.
Ooh. The big one.
Tennessee's going to destroy them.
LSU at Mississippi State. That's a good game.
Mississippi State.
You're taking Mississippi State?
I'll take Mississippi State.
At the Cowbell Jungle. What do you call that place?
Oh, man. Those cowbells are so loud.
So annoying. I'll take LSU in that one.
No.
Ooh. I like it.
Is Mississippi State good this year with the new
They're
guy?
2-0, and Will Rogers having the typical Will Rogers start to the year.
Are they running the same offense?
No, it's different.
It's
different. Yeah, it's not air raid, which was the question. But this is the first time to take on a real team. We're about to find out. We're about to know a lot more about Mississippi State. But they brought back a lot of players from last year's team. They got a quarterback. Yes, they got a new coach, but it's the coach who was there.
I'm like Swope. I think Miami's a pretty good team, but I do want to. I'm kind of curious, to see, are they legit? Because if they're really good, they should run away with the AC. Well, Florida State's pretty good. ACC's pretty good this year.
Yeah.
Clemson's not as good as people
Florida
think.
State's really
but they're going to have some. They're going to have at least some tough games. It's not like
Miami's
Clemson's easy
good.
beat.
Miami's defense, the safeties.
They are really, really good.
Is that guy okay, by the way?
Yeah, he's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, they posted a picture with thumbs up from the
that's
hospital.
good.
But my whole thing is, guys, before we hit a break, it shouldn't matter.
No, it shouldn't.
It shouldn't matter. It matters, but it shouldn't matter. I wish I didn't grasp at straws. Right?
Well, it's a terrible excuse. Miami's really good. Well, you know what? We should be better.
We should be. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
When we come back, a little part of my conversation with Aaron Murray on Up to the Second College Football. That and more next on TexAgs Radio. How are we feeling about things, guys? Hey, as I try to end it there is some optimism with the quarterback situation and hopefully some tackling. Get some tackling going. It's TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Leanna's over there, and I know we got a couple text messages before we hear from Aaron Murray.
Yeah, hey, I was just going to mention actually about some Aggie Land games this weekend.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we have cross country. They actually have the Texas A&M Invitational, and the gun will go off at 8 a.m. And the boys will be running the 8K, and the women will be running the 5K. We also have soccer, start of SEC matches, which is awesome. Yeah, soccer. They'll be playing Kentucky at 7 p.m. home tomorrow night. So that'll be an awesome game as well. And then if you're excited for some fall baseball, there's a bit of a preview scrimmage matches, which has free entry this Friday and this Sunday at Bluebell.
Yeah, awesome stuff there, Leanna. I appreciate that. Let's try to get one text message in before we hit the Aaron Murray chit-chat.
Yes. So we have... we have some ones about the snake. Yep. I won't read them. Michael in Austin said, I made up my mind. I'll be pleasantly surprised if things change. Our coach would already be gone except for a huge buyout. 5 to 7 in year 5. Unacceptable.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Let's hear from Aaron Murray, former Georgia quarterback. You see him on ESPN. Had a chit-chat with him on Up to the Second College Football. Just going to play a little chunk from that interview, and hopefully you guys can check out Up to the Second. Some very good content there with Billy and Caroline, and, of course, the entire conversation with Aaron Murray. Here's a little snippet from it. All right, let's get some real analysis now. Aaron Murray, who obviously you see him on ESPN, former Georgia quarterback and good friend of the show. Aaron, what's up, man?
Man, how you doing? I will say how you doing, but I know how things are going down there in Texas world after a rocky little weekend.
Yeah, well, let's talk about it from an SEC perspective because kind of shocking to see how they've done. 1-4 against the ACC, 3-6 in Power 5 games out there. What has happened to our monstrous conference outside of Georgia?
Man, I'm still scratching my head a little bit right now as you kind of look at the landscape, especially the West. I looked at the West heading into the season, and you look at those rosters, you look at the talent, and I'm like, man, it is loaded from top to bottom. Like, could Auburn be a bad team? Yeah, first year head coach, they replace a lot. But then you look at the rest of the West, like Mississippi State's a strong team with veteran leadership, even though they're going through a identity change on offense. Arkansas has KJ and Rocket, and Texas A&M is loaded with 4- and 5-star guys. And you look at the offense and the weapons and Wigman at quarterback, and obviously you have Alabama and LSU. It's just like, wow, like where's the hole? Ole Miss, good team with Lane. And then you've seen struggles for the first 2 weeks of the season, and that's just the West. And I'm not saying the East has been perfect. If the East is Kentucky has not looked as good as I thought they would. Joe Milton, first week looked good, like he's progressed. I thought he kind of went backwards this past weekend. Georgia hasn't played anyone, so you really don't know how elite they are. So yeah, I'm scratching my head right now. And the one thing that I can point to, because you look at the rest of the country and you wonder, like, why does the Pac-12 have 18s in the top 25? Why does the Big Ten look as good as they're looking? And why does the ACC look as good as they're looking? It's the quarterback position. And not just because I played the position, but it is the most important position out there. It's the highest paid position when it comes to, NIL, when it comes to the NFL. And you look at the SEC right now, and there's a lot of young guys that have talent, but there's not a superstar at the quarterback position right now. And I think that, to me, is what's holding this conference back, because there's great skill. There's great offensive line. There are good defenses, but there's not one quarterback that I can say right now is like, hey, that guy's a first-round NFL talent. Pac-12 has 3 or 4. ACC has 2 or 3. The Big Ten has a couple. The Big 12 has one with Ewers. So that's the big difference right now.
Aaron, I'm glad you brought up quarterback, because as a A&M grad, fan, and analyst, I think they got the quarterback. Connor looks like the truth out there amongst all the other chaos defensively.
I was excited about him heading into the season. Like that, you look at Wigman and what he did last year towards the end of the season, and he's a tough SOB. I mean, watch him versus Miami. I mean, the respect level for in that locker room, I'm sure those guys already respect him and know him day in, day out. And, he's going to continue to grow as a leader. But those are the type of games that take your respect to another level. And I remember, for me, I was a young quarterback. This was my freshman year, and we played Auburn on the road. And I got the dog knocked out of me, man. Like I joke, but like I was in the locker room after the game, like contemplating, like, can I actually play SEC football? Like, this is outrageous. I fractured sternum. I had 10 stitches put in my chin. I had whiplash in my neck. Like I was all jacked up. And I remember after that, like my linemen were like, dude, we'll never let that happen to you ever again. Like it just the respect going forward was, even on a different level for being a young quarterback on a veteran football team. And I think Wigman has now earned that respect. But when it comes to his talent, like he's got the talent. And you look at some of the mistakes.
All right, that is part of my conversation there with Aaron Murray. For more of that, please check out Up to the Second College Football. It is on TexAgs.com. It's on our YouTube page, where hopefully many of you have subscribed. I know some of you are like, mad, but subscribe is good for you. All right, let's hit a break. We'll come back with Aaron Torres, get a national perspective here on the program. But right now, we are talking about Caprock Health System, highly personalized emergency care in College Station and, of course, the Brazos Valley. Their patients benefit from a very unique one-on-one experience when they go there. You want to feel better, you go to Caprock Health System because that is their sole purpose, to make you feel better. They put the patient first in every decision that they make. And should your stay require you to be there a little bit longer than expected, they're going to manage every element of your visit with a very low patient-to-doctor-nurse ratio, which means their medical team gets to know you and your individual needs. They got hotel quality rooms, so you never have to think about being in a dreary environment. They want you to feel great immediately. Their sole purpose, as I've mentioned many times, is to make you feel better with their patient-centered care. 2 state-of-the-art facilities designed for patient healing and family friendliness. You got Caprock Hospital in Bryan and Caprock 24-hour emergency center in College Station, where they both have 0 wait time for emergency care. You'll never have to sit in a crowded waiting room. Check it out. It is Caprock Hospital in Bryan and Caprock 24-hour emergency center in College Station. All right, we're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to AT, Aaron Torres from Aaron Torres Online, and of course Fox Sports Radio, because it is time for Around College Football, brought to you by Milliken Reserve, a College Station community featuring homes, trails, farms, and wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around nature. Take part in the Milliken Reserve community with a Conservancy membership. Learn more, millikenreserve.com. AT, what up?
David, what's going on? How are you?
I'm good, man. You feel like you've been fooled by A&M or nah?
Do I feel like I've been fooled by A&M? David, I don't know much about your childhood, but did you ever have one of those instances where you did something really dumb and you know you did something really dumb and your parents know you did something really dumb and you expect to get cursed out and a lot of bad words and, and your mom or your dad just looks you in the eye and says, David, I'm not even upset. I'm just disappointed.
Oh, it happens to me
Yes.
still.
Yes. Oh, well, okay. Well, first of all, by the way, it happens to all of us, right? That's the worst. And that was how I felt about it because, look, I think there's a scenario where Miami's pretty good. And even from the Miami perspective, they had athletes. The offensive line is gelled better than I expected. But what was disappointing was, a lot of the stuff that was an issue last year appeared to be an issue on Saturday. The offensive line, poor tackling. It felt like late in the third quarter, early in the fourth, where you have a tiny bit of momentum. And, oh, my goodness, is there a chance that we're going to come back and do this? Sloppy pursuit angle, sloppy tackling. I mean, that's the disappointing part. If you go to Miami and they just got athletes everywhere and you aren't expecting that and they just run up and down the field and you say, wow, that's a second or third best team in the country, that's one thing. But so many of the mistakes that so many of the problems, were partially Miami, but partially self-inflicted. And it just shouldn't be happening in year 6 of a regime and in a year where you return so much returning talent, not new names, not new faces, so many returning starters. So I would say I was more disappointed than anything, more than I put on them or anything like that. It was just a very, very disappointing afternoon.
Yeah, look, man, I'm just at a point where I can see a path for it to be a really good year, and I also see a path, here we go again. I see both. Like, that's, unfortunately, and I probably won't feel any different, and I don't even know when. I said Auburn, maybe Arkansas, maybe even Bama. Like, there's still a path for it to be an excellent year because the West is open. But I don't, the West is open. I don't want it to be an excellent year because the West is open. I want it to be an excellent year because A&M's that good.
No, 1,000%. And that's kind of, I think my takeaway as well is exactly what you just said, is that the West is wide open. You look at how Alabama has looked, how LSU has looked. Arkansas, we're going to find out about this weekend. Ole Miss barely survives on the road against the backup quarterback with Tulane. It's like you said, the path is there, but the path shouldn't be, all these teams aren't as good as we thought. The path should be, hey, it's year 6. All those guys that were true freshmen last year got some major playing time, and you look crisper. And so, yeah, to answer your question, and I think this is, a couple things. One, this is the part that we love about college football when it's going well, but this is the part that you hate about college football when it's going bad, is that you only get one game a week, and then you totally overanalyze it one way or the other, when things go well and when things go bad. And so that's exactly what it is, David, is that, I don't want to say I feel bad for anybody. Coaches are paid a lot of money. The players, they had their effort on the field. But it's like, it really is. There's nothing you can do against Louisiana Monroe that's going to make somebody feel better and say, okay, that was a blip on the radar. And maybe it is Auburn next week. Maybe it is Arkansas and Dallas. I don't know. Maybe it isn't until Bama. But this is the tough part about college football when things go wrong, is that you analyze, you overanalyze, and in this case, you really don't have anything that you can do this week that makes people feel good about a performance one way or the other.
Talking to Aaron Torres from Aaron Torres Online and, of course, Fox Sports Radio. Why do you think you owe Texas an apology? And is the Bama as we know it done?
I don't know that I don't know that Bama's done. Like, they still have the most talented roster on paper in college football. The other thing with Bama, I'll say this from the Bama perspective, and we can go to Texas. Like with Bama, I know it's easy in the moment, and I don't know if you even got to watch the game. I know you had post-game responsibility. Like, Alabama had the lead in the fourth quarter against Texas. Like, it's easy to forget that. But I don't think the problems are as crippling as last year. I actually thought Alabama almost the opposite of Texas A&M. I thought the defense held up well. I thought the tackling in the open field was good. But the quarterback's a problem. And I feel terrible making it that simple and making it all on Jalen Milroe, because Jalen Milroe isn't the only reason that they lost the other night. But for those who did have a chance to watch that game, what was blatantly obvious, and I talked to a coach this week that, pretty high-profile coach that, saw the same thing that I did, and I'm not an X's and O's guy, Texas did not respect the pass at all. And they said, you know what? We're gonna take the risk that Jalen Milroe hits a deep ball or two, but give him nothing in the short and intermediate because we don't think we can hit it. We don't think he can hit it. We do think he can beat us with his legs. And basically, it stymied Alabama's whole offense because Alabama now, the run they can't get a run game going. Everyone says the offensive line stinks. Well, the offensive line doesn't stink. There's a difference between being incapable of run blocking and incapable of run blocking because there's 9 guys in the box because the only thing that they're trying to do is take away your quarterback's legs. So I don't think the Bama that we know is done. I don't think the Bama that we know can become the Bama that we know with this particular quarterback under center. I feel bad. I feel bad making it that blunt. And to be clear, I'm not even definitively saying that the guy that can fix this is on the roster. Maybe you were fundamentally flawed this entire 2023 season, and you got to go into the portal and hope that a big name or the right guy enters the portal and that you can flip this. A Sam Hartman, a Devin Leary, a whoever we think, are the good portal quarterbacks this year. So I just bring it up because I look at Alabama, and I don't think they're done. Now, from the Texas perspective, and I'll try to be quick here, listen, I was the guy that came on this show last week. Quinn Ewers, I haven't seen it, 56% completion percentage last year. Steve Sarkisian never won more than 8 regular season games. I need to see it. Well, I saw it Saturday. Now, and I think we all know this, the big question for Texas, Texas never had a problem getting up for big games. They beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. They beat Oklahoma a bunch. They almost beat Alabama last year. What do you do against Wyoming this week? What do you do at a bad Baylor team next week? What do you do against a bad Houston team in a few weeks from now when you got to go on the road? Those are the questions for Texas. But for one night, they deserve all of the praise that they got. And now they're obviously in the driver's seat to have a great season.
Aaron, let's talk a little bit about Spencer Rattler. He's had a really nice start to the season. He wasn't the problem in the game against North Carolina. But real test comes for Georgia, or with Georgia. And is this Georgia's first real test, I guess?
It's an interesting game. Georgia has not looked good. But, I think that they've kind of used these first 2 games almost as like preseason exhibitions in the NFL, only they count in the regular season standings, to work on stuff and get right. And so I've had my questions about Georgia all off season. I think it's really hard to motivate a locker room full of guys that has basically had no failure at the college level. I don't know that we see it this weekend, though. I think there are tough games down the road at Tennessee, Ole Miss, all the games that we've talked about all off season. But South Carolina, to your point, yeah, Spencer Rattler's awesome, but that O-line and that run game is not awesome. Negative 2 yards rushing against North Carolina a few weeks ago. I think they averaged under 3 yards per carry against Furman last week. And so I just think this is a game where Georgia can kind of pin their ears back, go after Spencer Rattler. And I feel kind of bad for him because I don't think he's going to get much help. So this is one, again, I have my questions about Georgia. Maybe I end up being dead wrong on them. But I don't know that any of those questions get answered this week. Styles make fights. I just think it's a nice spot for Georgia this week in what is obviously their first high-profile game of the year.
Are you interested in this Georgia Tech Ole Miss game? Haynes King and the crew over there taking on Lane and the guys.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of Ole Miss. And I'm just interested. So I think I said it on the previous shows, but I was one of these people that was caught up in the Spectrum mess, and so I had to work really hard to find pretty much anything during the day on any of the ESPN, ABC networks. I wanted to work early to watch Texas Bama, so I saw that whole game. Oh, and I watched most of Miami A&M as well by going into work early. I bring it up because I did not see much of the Ole Miss game except for the final drive where they kind of converted late to kind of seal the victory. But I just don't know what to make of this team. I mean, on the one hand, you went on the road, true road game against Tulane last week. Tulane was obviously good last year, but they were playing without their starting quarterback. So Ole Miss is one. I think Arkansas is probably the other in the West. I really just don't know what to make of them through 2 games. I'm curious. I'm intrigued. And obviously, I think the interesting thing with Ole Miss isn't really this week, but if that offense does click, you know where they're playing next week is at Alabama, which is all of a sudden, I don't think inconceivable that you can compete in that game. So I think for Ole Miss's perspective, you want to win and you want to win big and build some momentum going into that Alabama next week, because obviously Alabama, they're kind of a wounded animal in the corner, and you can maybe take advantage of it, but you got to get through this week first. So yes, to answer your question, I'm very excited to see. I'll be very excited to kind of see this Ole Miss team and just kind of see what they're about as they get set for Bama next week.
How about LSU, Mississippi State? I'm intrigued by this matchup because I want to see how real Mississippi State is. And does LSU get back to the way that we expected them to be, or do they potentially have already a second loss? Because the way Mississippi State's played against the nobodies, by the way, makes you feel kind of good about them, but they haven't been tested.
Well, I mean, Arizona can put up points. So I think there's a positive from last week is that the defense held up very well. I think the negative is, David, they had like under 300 yards of total offense, I think. And I'll say this is, we'll see if I'm right on this. Zach Arnett was this highly touted, everybody likes him, he's the next big thing in coaching. David, I don't know how closely you followed. They have completely gone away from the air raid. Will Rogers threw the ball 17 times last week. Okay, I looked it up just because I was curious. He never threw fewer than 37 passes in a game. He threw last year with Mike Leach. He threw 17 times. And I get the idea. You want to play a little more complimentary football. Maybe the defense is a little bit better. You want to run the ball more than he did under Mike Leach. But you have an entire roster, an entire offense that was recruited to run this particular system. I think this is an egregious coaching malpractice, for lack of a better term. And so to answer your question about LSU, I think LSU, listen, that Mississippi State defense is good. I don't expect them to put up 42 points in this game, and we say, that's the team that we thought was the top 10 team in the country. But I'm more curious from the perspective of Mississippi State, because as much as I said that Arizona can put up points, they can't really stop anybody. And for you to have to go to overtime at home against that team when your defense plays well, I think it is a sign of a really tough season to come if that offense doesn't get things figured out. It's great on paper in June, July, and August to say we want to play more complimentary football. Well, now you got to go out-athlete Alabama. You got to go out-athlete LSU, Texas A&M, whoever's on your schedule, and I don't think you're equipped to do that. I think the whole reason you're in the air raid is because you're not equipped to do that. So that's what I want to see from that game, and obviously from LSU, that's obviously a must-win. But I'm really kind of more curious, honestly, from the Mississippi State perspective now.
AT, appreciate you, brother. Talk to you next week.
All right, David, have a great week. We'll talk soon.
Later,
and by
man.
the way, I'm not disappointed in you, only the Aggies.
Well, I'd be disappointed in me, but I'll tell you about that later.
No!
I'm kidding.
Talk soon.
Later. Aaron Torres Online, and, of course, Fox Sports Radio. All right, when we come back in open segment, we'll have a couple minutes for some text messages, maybe a call. You can know how to reach the show, 979-693-1150. Young Alumni Weekend coming up real soon. Grab your friends and join Aggies from classes of 2011 to 2023 for Boots and Bourbon Young Alumni Weekend. Join the Association of Former Students for a pregame party before the Aggies beat the hell out of Auburn on Saturday, September 23rd. Tickets available for purchase at tx.ag/YAW. The party will feature Alvy's Boots, special cocktails, and Boots beverages, and Barman Berman, Blackwater Draw Brewing Company, and DJ Bear. Enjoy the party and a chance to win several prizes, including 2 Kyle Field pregame sideline passes, a pair of Alvy boots, a Texas A&M noggin, and a Jimbo Fisher autographed mini helmet. After the party, sit with your friends at the football game by purchasing a ticket in the reserve block for your Young Alumni Weekend. A link to the purchase with discounted football tickets will be provided in your tailgate ticket confirmation email as well. Don't miss out. Tickets are available for purchase, tx.ag/YAW. It's the Association of Former Students. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. By the way, they are actually having a bunch of these ring wraps, and they want to share with you all the good stuff that Emily Huskinson, I should say, class of 12, starting ring wraps after her Aggie ring in 2011. Her idea originated while attending her brother's Aggie ring day ceremony in 2006. She felt inspired to add a unique flair to her ring, so she commissioned a custom-made set of diamond-encrusted bands to fit around the ring. Hesitant of the idea, but she put it out there, filed a couple of patents, and in 2018, Aggie Rings Wraps hired several in-house jewelry makers and opened their doors to a beautiful showroom. Ring Wraps is proud to offer superior, uncompromised fine jewelry that meets and exceeds their clients' standard of perfection. At David Gardner's Jewelers, they do have the ring wraps for ring day, so make sure you go and check that out. Emily will be there for Fall Ring Day, 9/28 and 9/29. All right, we got about 40 seconds left. Leanna, can you get a text message in for us?
Yes, so Ron from Texas says he's bringing the family down for the first game in 20 years this weekend. Can't wait to see Kyle Field and meet some folks at the TexAgs tailgate, which, on that note, will be taking place this Saturday from 12 to 2:30 p.m. So we hope to see you all there.
Yeah, come to the tailgate, have a good old time, say hello to the folks, and looking forward to seeing you, Ron. Hopefully we can link up there. All right, when we come back, it's going to be nothing but optimism. Big old cup of maroon Kool-Aid with the Fan Show presented by Gerard Construction. That and more next on TexAgs. you ready for some optimism? I bet you our next panel is going to be a bunch of optimistic dudes. Welcome into TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studios. Time for the Fan Show.
Let's do it.
All right. It's not, we're not really into it. By the way, it's presented by Girard Construction, custom home builders for the Brazos Valley. Since 2002, they don't just build homes, they build relationships. Learn more at girard-construction.com.
The enthusiasm is waned.
I know, right?
Doesn't it?
Yep. Sutton, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. Thanks.
Been a minute?
Yep.
Hunter, welcome back, buddy.
Good to be here.
Mateo, good to see you as always.
Good to see you. Good morning, buddy.
Let's get into it, guys. Sutton, it's been the longest since you've been here. What is on your mind this AM?
Well, my Fighting Texas Aggie class of 26 daughter and I went to the Miami game. Had a great trip, but my biggest takeaway was, we have the rain delay, and it's just hot and incredibly humid. Miami comes out. They're all jacked with 44,000 total fans, and they play whatever alma mater they play. And then it's time for the Spirit of Aggie Land, and we have no band. There's no sawing varsity's horns off because we have no war hymn. And I know you guys grew up, whether it was Floyd Casey Stadium, Texas Stadium playing SMU, DKR, whatever it was, we would go to an away game, and old Ags would say, we might run out of time, but we'll never lose a halftime. Well, hell, we lose halftimes all the time because our team, our guys don't get a chance to show up. So my biggest frustration, especially when you look towards going to Tennessee and we're not taking a full band so they can't do a drill, the amount of money that the athletic department has from TV money, put some money so that the Aggie band can go and represent our school and also keep some momentum on the football team for an away game. It's, to me, so incredibly frustrating because it's a display. I think the Aggie band's probably one of the greatest displays of our traditions at Texas A&M. And so when we go to Knoxville or we go to these places that have never seen a military band do a drill at halftime, I think it's a great representation of our school. And so as a fan, I want to see that. I want to see Ross Bjork put some money away for the Aggie band to be able to make these trips to represent our school.
I think, well, they have a pretty good endowment now through the either CCA or former students. But I think a product of that's just days gone by. And I'm with you. It was always a big part of halftime and swell your chest. But is the other athletic departments are just like, you can bring them. We'll put them in the stands, but we're not giving you any time on the field at halftime.
Speaking of, look at what happened this time last year. Bama goes to Texas. Texas puts them in the third deck. Bama says, we're not going to bring our band. This year, Bama retaliates. Texas, if you want to bring your band, you're in the third deck. And that's what I hope that doesn't happen when Texas enters this, that we start destroying some of the things that we enjoy.
That's because Texas are jackholes. They started that whole deal. But they were the first ones to do it, and then everybody in the Big 12 got petty and started doing it. SEC rules, we got to have 1,000 seats or 1,500 seats on the first deck, and you got to give 5,000 total. So I think there's first deck room for bands. But I'm with you. I love it, I think, but those days are gone.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know what's on your mind.
Okay, first on my mind quickly, the TexAgs Big Shot.
It's coming up.
Yeah, Friday, October 6th. So TexAgs has championed this event for over a decade. It's a sporting clay shoot. It's going to be Friday, October 6th, the day before the Alabama game. So you're coming in town. Let's take out our frustrations. We're going to break orange clays, right? Very satisfying. There's posts on the outdoor board, maroon and white, Lucci's board. You can find it, or you can just go to BBBS. So Big Brothers Big Sisters. So BBBS.
And what is it? What does it support?
Yeah, Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Right.
It's great. So we're gonna we blast clays that morning. We have a lunch. We got cold beer after we shoot. Gun raffle, give away a bunch of stuff. It's great. And the qualifications for going, have you pulled a trigger on a shotgun? Have you ever missed a dub. That's it. I mean, this is not an Olympic shoot. This is for fun. Just come out. We have youth shooters. We have lady shooters. It's great. So
it's a blast. Yeah,
get a hold of me, Shirt LaFlaw, or just go to bbbsbrazos.org and find the event, or Facebook or whatever. It's out there.
It's a blast. You should definitely look at it, for real.
So
football-wise.
So here's what I'm thinking, right? So the SEC West. If you had, who's the worst? I know it's early. Who's the worst team in the SEC West? Right, so I'm looking. I'm like, well, LSU dropped down that first week. Bama goes down. A&M goes down early. Nobody else has lost, but it's not like anybody. It's not like they're crushing anyone. So I'm like, I guess Auburn. If I had to go Auburn, maybe Arkansas, because I'm not believing the Arkansas right now.
Ole Miss was the only one that beat a ranked opponent on the road.
Is it us? I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, I don't think that, but that's kind of hard to pick.
Yeah.
Besides, who's going to finish tops in the SEC West?
Yep.
I was just sitting around going, huh?
Well, and you narrow that down. Who has the worst secondary? Who might be us?
Maybe.
Oh my gosh, why do they feel good about myself?
Who would you pick right now? Who's the worst team in the SEC West?
Oh, worst team?
Who's going to end up last? If you had to pick today.
Don't ask me that right now. no one listen's going to want the answer I'm about to give. So,
Do you really feel that?
Yeah. I mean, look,
a week ago you didn't.
I know.
You're off.
All right, you go Aggies. Who's your last?
I'm going to say Auburn.
Yeah, that would be my pick too.
I'm going to say Auburn.
Okay.
Just because I don't want to say us.
Yeah. I'm not really saying us. I'm pleading the fifth here.
You're scared that
they're
it could
turning.
be us.
Yes, sir. So, all right, is it my turn?
Matt, please, by all means.
All right, so here we go. Here we go. So I want to just say real quickly that I'm a sports fan. Been a sports fan my entire life. Love sports. I used to take losses really, really hard. I would get angry. I'd get mad. I would get sad. I remember, I can remember many games where I remember 77-0. I was embarrassed for like months about it. I'm still embarrassed about that to this day.
Don't you feel like you're sometimes to blame the way people talk to you about your Aggies?
It's our fault that this keeps happening. But yeah, I mean, I've got, and so, but that's kind of stopped as I've gotten older. I remember after the 09 game against Texas, I guess the Marquise Goodwin, remember he returned the touchdown. I remember I came home mad, but my little girl was there and she was so happy to see me when I got home. And I just thought, I remember thinking, like literally having a conversation with myself going, why do I let this bother me so bad? Yeah. And I haven't. Since then, I feel like I've really gotten to a point where I have enjoyed the wins, not let the losses bother me. And I really have until this weekend.
Yeah.
This weekend, I am sitting there and I am getting angry, and I haven't quite figured out why yet. There's a lot of reasons, and I'm trying to figure out within me why I was so angry about this football game. I'm pretty sure I said some 4-letter words, which I don't normally do. But everyone I've talked to, everyone seems to be angry. They've skipped the shock and the sadness of the stages of grief and all went straight to anger. Mad about this game. My wife, who is just one of the most just calm, cool, sweet human beings, not outspoken at all, very introverted, very kind. I'm pretty sure that she called Tyler Van Dyke's mom the B word at some point during the game.
Oh, wow.
She got tired of seeing her on TV. And then after the game, we had people come over.
For her.
Everyone was just angry, and
why?
So I'm trying to figure that out, and so that was kind of my question.
I think I know why.
I think it's effort.
We all have our reasons, right? But I think the biggest reason is because we wanted to believe this year would be different, and it still might be.
I think.
But we started off with here we go again.
Well, I asked myself the question, is it that because I have eyeballs and I see that we are more talented across the board than that entire team, I think. I think A&M's team is more talented than at every position than Miami. That's just me. But yet we got completely punched in the mouth. I feel like they gifted us 14 points. And we still got beat pretty handedly. Is it because we got completely and utterly outcoached in that game? Is that why I'm mad? Or is it because here we go again, just like you said? Here we go again. Here's yet another year where we just don't live up to what our capabilities. Is it the fact that we've lost 7 straight road games? What is it? Why? So I know there's multiple reasons, but for me to go from just I take losses in stride to being just so darn And everyone I've talked to, y'all live here too. Everyone that you've talked to, everyone has just been pissed about it. I mean, I remember App State last year. App State is a far worse loss than Miami. App State we'll remember the App State loss in 20 years. No one's going to remember that we lost to this Miami team. That's not a horrible loss looking back on it. But I know there are people who are far more angry about this loss than they were about the App State loss last year because of, I think, the accumulation of all of this.
The accumulation plus new issues pop up. We fixed this one, and then this one. There's a leak over here, and we fixed this one, and then there's issue. Like, can we just fix it all?
Yeah.
Like, and I was not one that thought this is a 12-0 team.
No.
Right? But I wanted to see some and we might still see it. I have to keep qualifying it. We might still see it. It is early, and maybe the Miami game is the wake-up. But I wanted that wake-up call last year, so all this season was about fixing last year, and we haven't started that.
And I do. I'm the guy that will sit there and go, okay, I look back to 2020, our second game, we got our doors knocked in by Bama, and then we rallied. We turned around, turned that season into a good season, one of our better seasons in years. So I still have that in my head going, okay, this can be salvaged, but at the same time, I'm going, what in the world is happening here, and why? I love the one, like everyone says, everyone's starting to believe we're just cursed. It's the curse of the Billy Goat kind of deal for us. Maybe we built Kyle Field on top of an Indian burial ground, or who the heck knows why. But there's all sorts of reasons. But I can tell you, I'm trying to voice the voice of the fan, and the fans that I've spoken to this week. I'm talking all age groups. Everyone is just mad and I just feel like we're all finally just completely fed up. We should have been fed up for years ago, but this one really hit.
I think if my interpretation of it is, it's year 6. Every time we replace the head coach, it's like we wipe the board clean and we start over our emotional energy as a fan.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have accumulated App State and all of these other disappointing and especially road losses. And then when you see someone like Jordan Gilbert go out there and put a shoulder to somebody and give very poor effort and they score a touchdown, it's like a backbreaker emotionally to a fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I share with you and where that feels like, because when we go to, here's example, you went there to Clemson. When we went to Clemson, all right, it was the second game of the season. We got handled. We got worked. We had an opportunity early in that game to score and possibly change it, but we didn't. But it was early in Jimbo's tenure. Now it's late in his tenure in 6 years, and we really haven't improved over what the previous regime had in place.
And I think what also bothers me is you get on, everyone's like, the people who start calling for coaches to be fired. I don't think they've thought about the fact that next year you're going into the new world of college football, a completely new dynamic. You want to be starting over. This isn't an easy, all right, get rid of the coaching staff and bring in a new coaching staff, because what happens with that is most of this talent walks out the door with the new transfer portal. You lose a lot of that talent. You're now having to start over. Now we have to get the new coaches, players in place and all that. You're doing that with Texas and Oklahoma coming in, the 12-team playoff.
But there'll be somebody over there and say, well, Deion's doing it. Deion cleared the roster, and look what he's doing.
Yeah.
So I get it, and I feel the same way. I'm better about it, right? But I think between expectation, I actually thought this team was going to be better. I love the talent level, and then part of it, and specifically the Miami game, right? We're ahead, but even when we were behind, we kept coming back in there, right? We get down by 8. We're back in the game. And then it was just dagger. Kind of get back a little bit, dagger.
Mm-hmm.
Well, bottom line is, guys, they're not getting it done, and you've now run out of real estate to get it done for the kind of expectations that many of us had. And by the way, many of us didn't have these groundbreaking expectations.
No, we really didn't.
We should have a higher bar, but for this season, my bar was kind of like
9 wins.
Yeah,
that was my bar.
Yeah,
with a chance to win 10.
Yeah, but 9.
Yeah. And still totally possible.
Still possible. And again, it is possible, but at the same time, from everything we've seen thus far, it doesn't seem that way.
Also not possible. You don't think Freeze, Kiffin, Tennessee, Heupel.
Yeah,
are licking their lips at that secondary?
They saw that, yeah. They saw that we get no pressure on the quarterback with nothing but 4- and 5-star guys across that defensive line, and we can't get any pressure. No stunting, no none of that. I don't get it.
And we have, in my opinion, the best quarterback that we've had since Johnny.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. If we don't have him in the Miami game, it's ugly, really. I mean, because he was making some he was making something out of nothing, truly, especially on the Noah Thomas touchdown. There was nothing there. He threw it, the only place he could throw it, still gets hit, and we score a touchdown. So I feel like we're wasting that opportunity with him because we've been, for the last several years, waiting on someone that is of his quality to lead the program.
I said it last week. This is Jimbo's first legit Power 5, top SEC type quarterback that he's had at A&M, and that he really had since Winston.
Yeah.
So, you know, to his credit, he was rolling some guys through Florida State. He was putting them in the pros, and they were pretty average guys.
Yeah.
Connor's legit.
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, anything outside of Connor that you guys liked?
I mean, I still think that the receiving core looks amazing. I think that there were some mistakes there. I mean, Evan Stewart's the real deal, but he's got to put his foot in the ground, get that first down.
That's a big Evan Stewart.
He did. He had a couple of key drops on third down, so Evan Stewart seems like the kind of kid, by the way, that will learn from that, and that won't happen again. Those types of things, like that fumble he had against New Mexico in the first quarter, like I watched that and I'm like, all right, that kid is the kind of kid, he just learned from that. That won't happen again.
Yeah.
So I do believe that about this. But the receiving core still looks like they're absolutely legit. I mean,
gotta protect them.
You've just got to give him some time for those guys to get where they're supposed to be so he can throw them the football. And
two guys to me. I think Bryce Foster's playing really well. And remember, we really didn't have him fully well all of last year. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited on what he did. And Turian York, he's the real deal. He's going to be a stud linebacker at Texas A&M if we can keep him.
Yeah.
But he is outstanding. The way that he just as a true freshman, his technique is amazing. And so I'm really excited about him and what he can be this year, not in the future. This year, I think he could be a really stud for us.
Yeah, that was a big question mark, and Cooper and York seem to be getting it done. I like Reuben Owens. I think the coaching staff likes him because he's getting a lot of PT, and he hadn't really busted out on the running game yet, but he's in there a lot with some big mistakes we saw Saturday, right? Picking up some rushers that apparently
picking up a rusher, and then the holding call last
week. He's out in the pattern all the time. He's catching balls well. I like Reuben. Yeah. Don't love the running game yet. I like Amari. There's some things out there. There's some likes out there.
Yeah, we see the talent. The talent's everywhere. I mean, that's not debatable. The talent is there. It's just getting them in the right place. And I don't blame the players or the talent level. I don't. I mean, that's clear cut across the board. Every position looks like future NFL stars all over the place. Yet we're getting smacked in the mouth.
All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back with more. I want to ask you what you guys expect to see this weekend. Not what you want to see, what you expect to see, all right? Because I think we all want to see a thrashing, but maybe that's what you expect to see. Moment now for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. Talked to my guy Dylan yesterday who's hooking us up. We have some service things that we need done with our car. Made an easy phone call, and they're setting it up. They're going to take care of us on Monday. It's that simple. That's what happens when you go to Caldwell Country Chevrolet. The customer service experience is second to none, and I mean that on many, many ways. I mean that when it comes to service on your vehicle. I mean that when it comes to buying a new vehicle and just the entire process, getting the vehicle sent to you. You get these options online. You go see it. You can test drive it. And, yeah, you can get that at other places, but then you know you're getting it done from a small-town dealer trying to do it big for the Brazos Valley. They're not far, 15 minutes. We're talking about Brana Caldwell, short conversation away. But you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the good people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. And we back. I said we back. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Fan Show presented by Girard Construction. All right, gentlemen. Matt, you start us off. What do you expect to see this weekend?
I better see a team that's just so. I need them to match my anger. I want them to be way more angry than we all are. I want them to be embarrassed by what just happened, the fact they got beat by a team that is not as good as them, and I want them to come out and absolutely just dust them. I mean, it better be it.
But that's what you want to see.
I want to see.
What do you expect to see?
I do expect a pretty dominant. I do
more
expect
dominant than we saw against New Mexico.
I'd say similar. I think it would be similar to what we saw in New Mexico.
Okay,
I do too. I think it's hard to make the comparison, but I watched the ULM, looked at their stuff. That's not a good football team. Okay, struggled with Army. I mean, it was a dogfight against Lamar last week. It's not good stats. And Jimbo can pump them up. Talk about how their O-line's a bunch of maulers. This will be a bloodbath, and it won't matter. I mean, it'll be a maybe feel good 10-minute win.
I just want it to be a get right game.
Yeah, what I want to see is basically is what I expect. I mean, I expect Max will be there in late in the third quarter. He'll be playing a lot.
I expect to see us not cover.
Big line.
It's a huge line, and I think that we will see us run the ball. I think this is going to be a short game. I really see us dedicating a lot of effort on establishing the run because I think that we have not seen that in 2 games. We have not seen an effective running game, and I think that we will see it in this game. I think we'll see all 3 backs. Hopefully we have healthy 3 backs. I think we run the ball. I don't think we cover. I think we have a good game, but I don't feel like it's going to be the blowout that everybody wants to see. I still think that Connor's playing halfway through the third quarter.
Is there anything, and Hunter, you start us off, anything that will give you hope against ULM for the rest of the season, considering it is ULM and you expect a blowout? Is there anything you see from that like, all right, I can see how this will translate later?
Maybe a running game. I get it. New Mexico, they weren't going to let us run because they're going to throw everybody up there. And then last week, what we didn't see, I mean, Miami had 2 safeties back the whole time. They weren't going to allow bombs away. Maybe feel better. I don't know what UL Monroe's going to do on their D-line or pass rush, but maybe, hey, man, keep your quarterback off the ground and don't let anybody touch him. That'd make me feel better, even against that type of competition, because that's, he's getting roughed up back there. He's not going to make it 12 games.
To me, it's injuries. If we can walk away with no injuries, I'll be very excited. Because I'm excited us going – like if we were playing Auburn this weekend, I'm ready. Let's tee it up. I think we can beat Auburn, and I think that will be the best medicine for us is even though it's at 11 o'clock, I think it will really be good medicine for us before we go to Dallas. But I'm worried about us getting some key injuries, whether it be Connor, whether it be Evan, whether it be somebody that we just can't lose right now. And that would make me very positive. We got through that. We got some more reps. Now let's go to Auburn.
Matt?
Pressure the quarterback.
Oh, please.
That's what I want to see more than anything. I want to see us get to the quarterback all day long. I mean, you've got studs everywhere. I mean, that's what we've been told. These are all. I mean, how many 5-stars do we have on that D-line? We better get some pressure on the quarterback.
Hey, I know some people are sick of hearing about the talent that A&M has and the talent this and that. Honestly, I just want to see good football.
Mm-hmm.
That's and
me too.
And I was happy about getting some adjustments offensively in the second half. I want to see those adjustments earlier defensively, like now, today. Let's have those moving forward.
Yep.
I want to ask you, and Sutton, I'll start with you. Surprise, no real splash from Anias or Moose yet?
No, I really don't. I am surprised to see Moose on the sidelines so much. That does surprise me a little bit. But when you look at, for example, at Miami with Noah's pass, that pass could Noah's the only one that would have caught that with his size and his leaping ability. And I don't want balls to go away from Evan. Right now, I want the ball to go to Evan. He needs to catch the ball 10 times a game, and he is a vital part of what we're doing. And I think that over the course of the season, we're going to see more of Moose and we're going to see more of Anias. I will say I continue to be disappointed on not seeing Anias line up in the backfield, especially when we need somebody to block a rusher. He is excellent at that. We've seen that now years and years. We've seen that, but yet we put a true freshman back there for pass blocking, and I don't quite understand that. I don't understand why we're not seeing him in that role.
Hunter?
Yeah, I don't know, which may be a tell. Nice is getting some touches, so he's
not having that splash.
No, well, he's not going to. I mean, I feed the studs, and we got. Well, I agree. I mean, we got number one out there. You're going to throw it to him,
right?
I mean, he's your guy.
Yeah.
So
And
Evan
number
Stewart's
three's
going
not
to
bad
be
either.
your lead receiver every game. Maybe if they're not respecting the deep ball, you're going to go Noah. I think Moose may have some knucklehead in him during the week, right? The first game he had 2 goof ups on substitutions, right? There was one early, and then Jimbo was chewing his butt, in the second half about something. We had to take a timeout. That's when, Petrino.
Right.
They showed him in the box, having a reaction. So I love Anias. I mean, he's good. He'll get his touches. He's not going to get what Evan's getting.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because you've got, they're the third and fourth receivers on this team.
Yeah.
Evan and Noah are the 2 top guys, and then you've got, and so, they're going to be out there every single play where you see Anias and Moose coming off the field, so they're not getting as many snaps. And so, no, I'm not surprised. I think that they will, like they say, everyone's going to eat. I do think that they're going to have good games. Anias and Moose would be number one, the top receiver on a lot of teams.
Yes,
they're third and fourth in our rotation of receivers. And then also we throw to the backs out of the backfield. We throw to tight ends. We've got other people and other play sets that we call for. So.
Can we get Ernest Crownover some more touches here?
Well,
what are we doing?
I think my point about the Anias thing is,
come on.
I expected to see them use him differently than they have. I thought he was going to be like going in the backfield,
Swiss Army
splitting
knife.
back out, and then just causing some confusion. We have not seen that yet. All right, let's hit a break. We'll come back with we're going to kind of go through the SEC, some of these games. We're also going to draft a position, and then the biggest question you need to see answered moving forward. Right now, Charge Apparel time, Aggie-owned, purpose-driven apparel brand. They support the U.S. economy and domestic jobs, which is why they manufacture their polos and tees right here in the USA. And these polos and tees are awesome, slightly tailored fit, guys. They use the same premier fabrics that Lululemon uses and other elite brands out there, and they're going to fit you amazingly through the chest and the arms, designed to make you look and feel your absolute best. You got a couple of Aggies who own it, Aggie owned and operated. Class of 2014, they met in the Parsons Mounted Cavalry and the Corps of Cadets. You had Tucker with a member of E2 and Travis Squadron 2, and upon graduating from A&M, you had Travis going to the Air Force and Tucker going to the Army, and after separating from the military, they formed the Charge Apparel, and 12% of their total sales, not just profits, are donated to veteran nonprofits with a focus on a mental health initiative. An ode to the 12th man, no doubt about it. Check them out at thechargeapparel.com or find them on Instagram, The Charge Apparel, or on Twitter, The Charge Brand. And we're back, TexAgs Radio, here presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Fan Show, presented by Girard Construction at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. We get a text message from Jay Pop. Says, morning, guys. We must all remember that the QB of this team is Connor Wigman. Please listen to what Layden Robinson said. That QB is tough and will be the best player in the country. We must protect him better. We're going to be as good as the defensive issues can be fixed.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
We agree.
Protect number 15, please.
Yeah.
He got beat up on Saturday.
And so for what you're asking for about moving forward, right? I'll jump right into it. I think that the offensive line stuff can be fixed. That's usually fixable. It seems like during the season, if you've got to leave an extra back or tight end in there to block to keep your quarterback right, you can. Our receivers are good enough to get open quick so he can get the ball out fast. So I'm not as worried about the offense. I think the biggest thing that we have to see moving forward to improve this team is pass rush. And that's it. I think it really, I mean, again, our DBs are good enough to hang with them for a short amount of time. But if they get all day long, the quarterback's out all day long. I mean, college receivers would get open against NFL corners if the quarterback's got all day. You have to get pressure on the quarterback, and that was the biggest, most glaring deficiency we had the other night.
Biggest question you need answered moving forward.
To me, I don't know if you guys know, on defense, who's number 8?
Is that Nye White?
No. Number 8.
Remind us.
Grimes.
Tony Grimes.
Nobody's seen him. Big big transfer portal guy coming over from North Carolina. Lots of playing. We've actually played him in the Orange Bowl. Mm-hmm. And we haven't seen him. I continue to be worried about the corner position. I think it's an absolute weakness. I don't think that we can have anybody right now out there on an island, and our safeties really aren't that good right now covering as well. And so, to me, the biggest concern I have is at corner. I do think Thomas is going to be a good player, like as a junior, but not as a freshman starting right now. And so I think it's a huge problem. I think once we get in later into seeing somebody like Lane Kiffin, I think that they're going to target those guys. It's the same thing that happened to Damani. When they checked to Damani on that long pass that Damani was guarding that wide receiver, and they checked to him, and that's when scored. So I think we have some weaknesses that teams know we can beat this guy one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm okay. I think you need 28 and 7 out there in the corners. I think I'd like to Barry. I liked what I saw first week. He had an issue the other day, like an instant, somebody catches it. Maul the guy, tackle him. Don't be an ankle diver. What I have to see, yeah, I agree too. You got dudes up front. You got some linebackers that can get in there. You got to harass the freaking quarterback, right?
Yeah.
If Van Pelt doesn't have all freaking day, and we showed it on the plays where he was getting sacked or pushing him out of the pocket, those were all incompletions.
Van Pelt.
He's not whatever his name.
Van Dyke.
Yeah.
TVD.
I just watched a movie last night, and Van Pelt was in there. Sorry.
The quarterback Van Pelt or Van Dyke?
Yeah.
Sorry, Scott Van Pelt.
Scott Van Pelt.
Whatever.
You already answered yours, right?
Yeah. Mine was the pass rush.
Yeah.
Again, if you go back and listen again, I watched that Dallas Cowboys, and I know we're talking pros versus college. I get it, but Daniel Jones. Did any of y'all watch that game? 40-0 was the final
beat down.
He had no time to do anything back there. After that first drive, he got a couple scrambles. After that, it was an absolute beatdown. They harassed him the whole
He's
game.
got wheels. That guy can run.
Yeah, and they just absolutely. And so getting pressure on the quarterback is the key to defenses these days.
All right, let's draft a position that we're going to pay attention to. And if you're not on the show next week, I know you may not even be able to use the internet. Send us a text beforehand to what you want to draft. Sutton, what do you want to draft position-wise?
Corner. I think we're going to improve. I think it's a huge weakness. We got exposed, and I think that those guys are going to really step up. I think we're going to they're going to not only tackling. I think tackling is going to be very solid this week. Because I think that they've done a ton of tackling this week during the week. And so I'm saying corner.
Okay. Hunter?
I whiffed week 1. I texted my draft pick in, which was running backs. And we didn't really they didn't take off. Amari had a couple nice runs. I'm going back to the well this week.
Okay.
On this team especially, because I don't think we're going to be bombs away. I don't think they're going to be playing safeties up. So I'm going running backs. I like my man Ruben Owens. I like the big backs, too. I like Bailey and Crownover. Yeah.
Moss, yeah. If he's playing. I don't know if we –
I don't know the latest with him.
So for me, it's got to be one of the two lines. I mean, I've sat here and harped on the D-line this entire time, getting pressure. So I guess I'll go D-line. I mean, even though that should be our most talented position group, right? Yeah. Even more so, it should even be more talented than a receiving group, our receiving core. But I think that it's got to be D-line for me. It's either that or O-line. But I'm gonna go D-line.
D-line. You got to find the way to put pressure, and it's not only cornerback blitz or line. Like you've got to get it around the edge. You have to be able to do that. All right, gentlemen, let's kind of go through some of these games that are going to be happening in the SEC. I'm really interested in it. Georgia Tech, Ole Miss. Any thoughts there?
And that's in Oxford, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, Georgia Tech. They dropped the first game, had some second half issues there, but Haynes has good stats. I mean, again, it may be deceptive, but that game, Ole Miss playing Tulane last week. Tulane wasn't their quarterback was out, and that was Tulane was 10 points ahead. And that was a game till the fourth, and they had a meltdown and a sack, fumble, touchdown at the end that pushed that score a little bit more. So, I like Ole Miss at home, but that's a good game to watch. And there's not a ton of good games this week, unlike last week. So, I would go Ole Miss if you forced me to.
Yeah, I'm pulling for the Aggies on Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I am too.
Ole Miss needs to lose a non-conference game like the rest of the SEC
we can even
West.
the slate.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's just flush the SEC West while we can.
Yeah, everybody needs to. So I'm going to take Ole Miss just because I think that I'd love for Georgia Tech to win. I'm pulling for Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
I think I'd love to see Haynes have a good game. He seems like a great kid, and we always wish the best for him. So hopefully he'll have a good game and they win. But do I think that's going to happen? No. I think that Ole Miss will. I mean, they're always good at the beginning of the season.
Right.
So I think Ole Miss wins this one pretty handily.
All right, this one I'm very intrigued by. LSU and Mississippi State. You start us off.
Ooh, that is a good one. I think LSU is going to be. This is their first decent amount of competition since that first game, and so I think that LSU. I feel like LSU will try to get back to being somewhat LSU, and I see LSU winning that game.
This is a bad matchup for Mississippi State. Mississippi State in the first 2 weeks have tried to absolutely run the ball over and over again, and the weakness on LSU is their defensive backs. And so I think that this is not a good matchup for Mississippi State. I think LSU wins this game.
Man, I'm going the other way here. I like State at home. I like their defense. I like that they're running the ball. I'm not a believer in LSU. I wasn't get to be on week one, but that was going to be my take. I mean, I'm just not there. I'm not saying they're not a good team.
I hope you're right.
Team, but I don't know where this LSU hype was coming from based on last year.
If Mississippi State wins and LSU's got 2 early losses.
Dude, I like Rodgers. You got a senior quarterback, or he's been there 5 years, where the hell it is.
Forever. Yeah.
They're still a spread offense. They're just not air raid 60 throws a game. Yeah. So and I like that defense. I'm telling you, I really like Mississippi State's defense.
I hope you're right.
Yeah.
I do. I hope you're right.
Now, this one I think we all probably expect it to go one way, but it is interesting, South Carolina at Georgia, just because I don't think Georgia has been pushed. They're Georgia. We'll see what Carson Beck does. Spencer Rattlers looked really good for South Carolina, but they did lose that opening game to North Carolina. Hunter, you start us off there.
I mean, if you asked me about the spread, it was like 26.5 or something. That's too much.
Yes.
Because a guy like Rattler can kind of keep you in the game, even though I know their O-line sucks. I mean, Georgia's going to beat them. Is this Columbia?
It is at Georgia.
Oh no, yeah, Georgia.
Yeah, this is not going to be close, but I don't think they cover. And so, but this is a Georgia win.
I think they could cover. I don't think they will, but it is very possible. I mean, they had one bad quarter, and their fan base loses their minds, right? So I hope that may have woken them up a little bit, and In the SEC, did you watch the SEC shorts
No,
this week?
I need to catch up.
It's
Yes.
really,
So
really good.
good.
It's really funny. Like everyone's showing up at death's door.
Right.
And it's like the Grim Reaper, and everyone's showing up at his door going, our season's over. So Bama and A&M and Florida are all in there talking to him. And then the doorbell rings, and it's Georgia. He's like, our first quarter was terrible. And he slams the door on Georgia. It's pretty funny. So
we're going to have SEC Shorts with us next Friday.
Oh, that's right. They're coming into town.
They're coming into town.
Dadgummit. I'm gonna miss that.
We're actually doing our show from the Angry Elephant next Friday. So
cool.
A little teaser.
So yes, I'm gonna say Georgia wins by 17, 21, something like that. They'll win handedly, but I don't know if they cover.
Let's do one last one. Tennessee at Florida.
Yeah, to me, this is the game I want to watch because this is the game that I think Billy Napier, it costs him his job. I think this is the end of Billy Napier at Florida. And I think that Prime is the guy that takes over Florida after Billy Napier. Yep.
Can you do that to Florida State? He can.
Oh, absolutely.
He would do it.
In recruiting in Florida for Prime, come on.
He doesn't claim Florida State. They talked to him the other day.
He's a little sore at him right now. I'm going the other way here too. I think in the swamp, Tennessee does not look like Tennessee. Not only do they got a new quarterback though, right? But that offensive coordinator is not there anymore.
Yeah,
right.
So, it apparently has affected them because they're not putting 75 points up.
Are you calling Florida to win?
Yeah.
Oh,
you're calling Florida to win this game?
I am.
Wow. Wowzers. Okay.
This is a tricky game. If you go back and look at this game, it's not a big favorite game.
I'm going to say Tennessee wins. What's the spread on this?
I'm going dogs all week, man.
Yeah, you are really.
Let me see if I can get the spread for you guys. I don't know if I have that with me.
Either way,
7,
I mean,
whatever
the spread is, it may not get met, but I mean, they may not beat the spread, but I don't see Tennessee losing to that Florida team.
Tennessee favored by 7.5 according to this page. Right.
They may cover. All right, yeah. I'll take Tennessee in the cover. I mean, look, I know they don't have their OC, but Josh Heupel's still the coach there, and I don't know. I want them to be good because I want us to beat them I want them to be a good team and
they
beat
beat up on Virginia, who got beat by James Madison or whatever last week. I mean,
all right, let's hit a break. We'll
He's
come
digging
back.
the dogs.
We're going to
Love
predict
it.
some numbers when we come back next on TexAgs Radio. And we're back. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner, Shielders Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Fan Show presented by Girard Construction, custom home builders for the Brazos Valley since 2002. They don't just build homes, they build relationships. Learn more, girard-construction.com. What kind of, yes, sir?
Why don't we get the Australian girl for the Fan Show?
Like,
yeah, she left.
She just walked out. I don't know.
She's taking texts and
she left.
She straight bounced on us.
I think she got.
I mean, it's a bad show. I get it.
She's like, well, if I'm gonna leave early, this is the time to do it.
What's her name? That was rude of me to call her.
Leanna Davison.
Leanna.
She's back there.
What a great radio voice.
Yeah,
good job.
Good. Hey, let's talk about Connor. What kind of numbers he's going to put up? What do you expect
this week?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I remember I thought he was only going to play 2.5 quarters against New Mexico, which he did. And I was like, he's only going to throw for 250 and maybe a couple of touchdowns, and he goes for what? 250 and 5 touchdowns.
Right.
But so I'm gonna say something similar, maybe 200 to 250 yards, 3 touchdowns, maybe.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll run the ball more, run the ball in the end zone more, show that we can run the ball, get that confidence level up of manhandling defensive lines. But like I said, this is a get right game.
Yep.
Let's get right before we get moving forward.
Hunter.
Yeah, he may. Yeah. Man, that's hard to do.
He's not playing 4
Short
quarters.
game. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I'll say 300. Let's just push it up the chart a little bit. All right.
I like it.
But you're right. I mean, I want 4 and 2 to have big games back there, right? I think Amari's your first guy out of the stable and running backs, and Ruben gets some touches. So I need a breakout game from those guys.
Yeah, I think this is above 75% completion rate. I think he's very efficient. Most important, I don't think he gets sacked. And so I think he's going to continue to get that ball out of his hand before that pressure comes. And I'm thinking 250, 300, somewhere between the two. Yeah.
Okay. Anais, what kind of numbers do you expect from Anais? And it could be total, it could be rushing, it could be whatever, however you want to take it. You start us off, Hunter.
He ain't rushing the ball unless something's changing. So, I think Anais is a 5-catch, 75-yard guy.
Oh, I'd like to see that. Yeah.
I see him in the end zone this week. Finally, he's going to get his first touchdown of the season. Maybe 2. Okay. I mean, you know what? I'm calling it. I'm calling Anais for 2 touchdowns this week.
I'm going to remember that next week.
I got Anais for 1 touchdown, but only 3 receptions and 50 yards.
Okay.
I think it's going to be the same thing that we've been seeing.
Okay. We're going to keep it with you, Sutton. How many interceptions do the Aggies get?
0.
Oh, God.
Get or give?
Well, both.
No. We get takeaways, interceptions 0. And I don't think that anybody from us, unless, what is it? Marcel Reed comes in the fourth quarter and throws a pick, but I don't think there's any interceptions in this game.
Okay. Hunter?
Yeah, we'll get a pick. I'm telling you, I watched some Yale Monroe. That's how bored I was the other evening. They're not good. We'll get a pick.
If it's raining, I think we get picks, we get fumbles.
It's supposed to rain again Saturday?
That's 40%.
Not early.
Right
Yeah, it's early though.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be fine by 3.
Be nice and humid.
All right. You start us off this time. Sacks. How many sacks?
3.
Please give me at least 3.
3. We got 3 sacks.
3 sacks.
And all 3 of them are going to come from defensive linemen. So it's not, it's not Damane coming in from the side. These are defensive line, whether it be a bull rush or a spin or a swim, but these are our dudes dominating and 3 sacks.
I'll go with that. And I'd parlay it. Right, if I get 4 linemen to choose from, I get 3 sacks. I'm going Shamar, and then I'll go McKinley, and then who do I want? I'll go 0 on the last one.
All right, I'm going 5.
Oh, please!
I'm going 5 because we've said
pour me another one.
All we've done all week is talk about pressure. Let's do it. Let's show them that we can.
If they get 5, how many from the line?
4. You get one. You get one on a linebacker blitz,
Damani
or corner blitz, or something
yeah.
like that.
Okay.
Speaking of 0, why was Nolan in 35 at the end of the game? His jersey was different.
Maybe got ripped. Maybe.
I don't know. He had a no-name 35 jersey in the fourth quarter.
Oh yeah, I guess that's right. He did.
All right.
I thought they were being sneaky.
I think it's 36.5. Did they cover?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
What do you think the score's going to be?
I think it's going to be like 38 to 7, or actually maybe
Close.
even like 9.
Okay.
But we're just going to be under the total points.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Appreciate you, Matt.
Thank you, David.
Jimbo versus the Doughboy, his mentor.
Yeah.
Should be fun to watch.
It should be fun. Thank you, Sutton. Appreciate you.
bet.
When we come back tomorrow on TexAgs Radio, Billy Lucci for 2 hours. We'll have Olin, of course, and we'll work on some other things. Thanks so much for watching and listening. We'll see you mañana.